Calling all aspiring DJs and sneakerheads. You think you got the skills? Then check out YarisVsYaris.com for the Yaris vs. Yaris live event series. Like this podcast, this event is brought to you by Toyota.
Welcome to the One Up Yours show for Friday, August the 3rd. I'm Garnet Lee. Got a great cast here with me today. Shane will be joining us later, but he's not here for the first segment. In his stead, though, we brought up Nick.
Hello.
Hey, man, how do you like it? You're on first show for you, dude.
Good, that's sweet. Nice video.
The big debut.
For those of you who don't know him, Nick is our reviews intern.
I am.
In other words, you're Andrew's minion.
I am Little Skip.
Uh-oh.
A.K.A. Little Skip.
I thought you didn't like... Is it you that doesn't like Little Skip? Or
Yeah, I don't like it.
You know, like, well,
I got nothing more clever for the time being.
I think you just endorsed it.
Yeah.
He did sort of endorse it.
I think I would be adverse probably to Skip in the first place, so Lil Skip. And it is Lil Skip. It's not Little Skip. It's Lil with apostrophe.
Oh, yeah, you got to do like the Lil Abner thing, right?
Right.
And those dulcet tones are coming from none other than Mr. Mark McDonald.
I'm back.
He's back.
It's been a while.
And you glad to be here?
Very glad. And we're doing, we're not to skip ahead. I got to say, we're doing 4-minute warning, finally.
Oh, he's been dying to do one.
I've been looking forward to it. Because we're always doing the weird, esoteric, like, what are games when I'm on? And I'm just like, oh my God, what? I don't know what to say. But 4-minute warning, it's very focused. It's very.
We picked the most esoteric. So instead of one, what does it mean to be a game? We picked all the best ones.
Everyone's gonna be happy because without Andrew here, you know who has cold control of.
Oh, you even brought it.
If you do that more than once per thing, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to shove it somewhere that you don't want it shoved.
Hey, easy there, granola boy.
Are you going to be able to be on it though? Because it was Andrew always interrupting a person. A lot of times it was you that he was interrupting with it, and it's got to happen at 4 minutes. All right, we'll see. This is the test.
It'll be 4-minute-ish warning.
All right.
I don't know. Anyway. So you already blew it. There you go. That's the cast. In today's show, we're going to have the what you've been playing in the first segment. That's why Nick's here. He's actually been playing a couple of games that I think will be like, I didn't even know that game existed.
Yeah.
So that's cool. In the middle segment, we're going to do you doing the 4-minute warning. And in the news segment, well, I think that it'll be predominantly occupied by Grand Theft Auto being delayed and some Take-Two info, but we've also got some other stuff in there as well.
Yeah.
So
it came up a lot on the boards as well, so we might be talking about that one quite a bit.
Boy, that subject popped quickly, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
So yeah, we've got information from the Take-Two call. We've got some stuff on pricing of Warhawk, a little confirmation. We got all kinds of stuff coming in the news. Let's get right on with the what you've been playing.
Well, we have stuff on pricing. No, we don't have stuff on pricing of Warhawk. Isn't that kind of the point?
Well, I mean, we have a little conversation starter,
yes.
A little news editorializing.
We can talk about how we don't have a price on Warhawk,
and hopefully, maybe someone would be listening. Hey, speaking of listening, just as an aside, real quick, got a note from the assistant producer in North America for Gran Turismo 5 because he listened to the show. He was really happy that we did a little call out. So hopefully, if the powers that be come together, maybe we'll be able to bring you some more. Gran Turismo coverage coming up. I'm a geek for cars.
Wow, that's funny because when Ryan from Game Videos told me that GTA was delayed today, he came by and was like breathlessly like, GT4 has been delayed. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was thinking like, wait, Gran Turismo 4?
Gran Turismo 4 is already out.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I guess he means GT5, not too surprising. And then, yeah, I went back to my desk and threads exploding, emails from everywhere. We'll get into that later.
Speaking of Ryan, this is a complete sidetrack, but I mistakenly went to see Transformers last night.
Yeah.
Mistakenly?
Quite late. And have you seen it?
Yes.
Did you notice that one of the science geeks was Ryan O'Donnell?
No. What?
Oh, really?
Beard, same jacket, everything. It's
really?
like someone on the production team watches the One Up show and decided to have a character that looks the spitting image of Ryan.
Somebody, I want a picture.
Win a frame grab.
I know there's the taped off of illegally
shaky cam
videos are out there. I want a screen cap of that stat on the One Up message boards.
He's the deciphering nerd that's not the hot Australian chick.
Wow,
no, I would have thought I thought you were going to say there was an EGM in it because there was an EGM in Knocked Up.
Mm-hmm.
So
no, a One Up show star.
There you go. I never start what you've been playing. Maybe I'll start what you've been playing this time.
All right,
do it.
How about that? Coming up in a couple of weeks now, or actually, I guess 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks, is Medal of Honor Airborne, and we have review code, and I've been playing it. And we did a hands-on on it a while ago, and instead of talking about single player, which we'll talk about in maybe an upcoming show, because I'd rather talk about something positive first. Let's talk about multiplayer, because no one had played multiplayer.
Yeah.
Multiplayer in this game is actually really good.
Really?
I was totally blown away. First of all, a lot of times when we play multiplayer games on PartnerNet, they haven't solidified their code yet, so you get a lot of that like janky play. This thing played super smooth, and we played it with pretty large rooms. We were playing with testers, so
right.
Like we didn't get completely owned, but
in PartnerNet, the 360 debug like version of
that's
Xbox
Live.
Live.
That's the debug version of Live. So we were playing it actually over the internet. So it wasn't. So it actually, it's not like you set up a local area connection and like jerry rig making it look good. You actually are playing over internet, so you get the experience
over the internet,
over the interwebs.
So what's new? What's different? What's cool?
That's the problem. That's the part that's going to drive people nuts. Is there isn't anything in particular new about it. It's just really good. In particular, what I liked about it is the map design. The map designs that they're using are really cool because they took. In a couple of cases, they're single-player maps, and in a couple of cases, new maps. But in all of them, they added lots and lots and lots of detail to them in pathways, places to take cover, routes to get to different places, and that makes a good multiplayer environment when it's done right.
Is it just two sides battling, or is it objective-based? Is it more like Wolfenstein?
So they have 2 different modes. Or actually, they have 4 or 5 different modes, but 2 basic variations. Death matches, which is like team deathmatch and deathmatch. And then they have airborne objective mode, which is basically a control point game, except that the middle control point can only be taken by 2 players, and then the other 2, it's a three control point deal. The other 2 can be taken by individual players. So it's a back and forth struggle, to get all 3 at one time.
You still have the parachuting mechanic in the multiplayer at all?
Yes, it's totally in there, and that's really cool because that's one of the big differences in the game.
There's something new.
The Nazis always start on the ground, but if you're playing the Allies, you're para-dropping into the environment. So in one of the levels, which is this like Roman ruins sort of, outside, in part of the Italian campaign part, you have the 3 separate spots are in the different parts of the ruins, and it's really easy to see as you're coming down, you're like planning, all right, I'm going to go over here and see if we can get that one. And you're talking to your teammates because you're on live. You're like, okay, let's go try and get the one in the courtyard, or let's go try and get the one that's over there by the open space, by the 2 trucks. And at the same time, the enemy is down there watching you come down and shooting at you.
Interesting.
And shooting at you.
So you can't shoot at them, but you are spying basically on them.
Right. So you have the advantage coming down of being able to pick your spot. They have the advantage looking up at you of being able to like snipe you out of the sky.
Is that an even bargain though?
It's totally an even bargain.
Really?
Because if you have a guy on the ground who can take out their ground defenses, then you can para-drop in behind them and take the spot that they're not defending.
Right.
So it's real. The back and forth on it was really, really, really good.
Any people getting stuck in trees and
tragically
shot, stuck trying to get out of a tree.
Although one of the testers was like showing off his skills, and there's actually going to be an achievement for this. If you cook off a grenade to just the right time and throw it into the air at someone who's coming down, you can actually blow them out of the sky with a grenade.
God. There will be people who will be that good.
Oh, he totally did it. And it's called the human flat cannon achievement.
But is it good enough to, like, my problem is now any World War II game, quality or not, I have this instant like apathy barrier.
Fatigue for
Dude,
that I have to get over.
It's the Call of Duty 3 argument all over again.
And I got to say that also multiplayer. I mean, you were just describing. Oh, it has it's called something different, but it's a capture the points.
Oh yeah, no, it doesn't do anything new. It doesn't do anything new.
I
enjoyed it for the map design. I thought the map design was really good in the 4 maps that we played.
This is something that's got to start shifting soon. In the upcoming issue of GFW, it's not out for a few weeks yet. They interviewed what's his name, Paul Wedgwood.
Yeah, Loki.
Guy from Splash Damage. He was saying that one of the challenges with designing a shooter, and that was something that they went through with everything previous to Enemy with Quake Wars, was that people want the same thing over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone decries the lack of innovation, but then when you innovate, everyone complains about it. And that first-person shooters, more than anything, have suffered from that.
What's that? It's that old quote about Halo, about the bit being 15 or 5 or whatever seconds of fun repeated over and over again. I think that is true with any genre, but I don't know. Do people really still want World War II over and over again? I mean, people definitely want that mechanic, but I don't know if people want Normandy Beach over and over again.
I like the variations. I mean, I like the Resistance variant on it, and then the Codemasters thing that I can't remember the name of. the one that's set in the alternate 1953 when Winston Churchill gets knocked over by a taxi in the 40s and
what was that?
never makes his speech. So
The one that had the,
America
the one that had the
never,
controversial box cover.
yeah, America never enters the war. Pearl Harbor never happens, and then what happens in the 50s is that the Nazis have been building up forces and eventually attack the U.S., and that's where the game picks up.
We can probably figure out the name. Let's just go through the possibilities. Honor is maybe one of them. Code
or glory.
of something of or on something.
No, it had a
title.
unique one-word name.
Oh, really?
No, I don't think so. Anyway, we don't know the name, but
Someone will get it.
But I think that might be a direction that the World War II stuff, like alternate history stuff, is still interesting. But I watched you guys play Medal of Honor. I mean, it does look really good. I mean, it's a very solid-looking game. But from glancing, if I didn't know you were playing Medal of Honor, I could not have told you what it was.
Oh, you'd peg it as a Call of Duty game, I think.
Maybe.
I think
yeah.
you'd peg it. I mean, the graphics engine and the style and the level of detail makes it look like a Call of Duty game. And we're not. And I don't want to go too far down the single-player rabbit hole because then that gets into a whole, raft of problems with the single-player game. But one of the things a single-player game does it really well, and this ties onto the whole idea of good map design and multiplayer, is the dynamic of being an airborne dude and jumping into an operations area instead of levels is really cool. Right. And I wish the rest of the single-player game had been good enough to really capitalize on that, because this is not a linear corridor shooter. It is you really get the feeling of being an airborne dude dropped into an assignment and like, okay, we need to go do oh wait, well, should I go do this first or should I go do that first?
Mm-hmm.
And you can approach it however you want to. So
my question about this is really, do you need the multiplayer for this? Outside of what you think about the single player, it sounds, if anything, that you would maybe take trade off and have a better single player game.
This game's very glad it has the multiplayer part.
Right, but where would you want those development resources spent? I mean, are people going to be playing this?
Yeah, how many fucking World War II games do we need to be playing online?
I don't know. Yeah, I think they could. I think they could because Call of Duty 3 had a good following, right? And it hasn't had a tremendous amount of post-release support.
But that's like the only one.
I think that everybody who's playing Call of Duty 3 online will gravitate to playing this online next because it has new maps, and I think that alone will get people doing it. And the modes work, and it's smooth.
Call of Duty 4 also comes out in a couple months.
You know what? And Halo 3.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, it's going to be a tune-up game. I think it'll be a tune-up game.
So what else you been playing?
That's mostly it. I can't talk about the other game I'm playing, so we'll just leave that alone.
Oh, I've heard about that other game.
Yep.
I hear good things about that other game.
Tremendously, amazingly good things.
Yeah.
I need to poke my head in your office more often. I don't even know what this game is.
You wouldn't see it in my office because it's not there.
Yeah.
So, anyway. I will comment.
Cryptic.
I've been infused with the spirit of Shane somehow. Yeah, as soon as we can get approval to talk about it,
Just
absolutely.
Jiggle it a little bit more
anyway,
there,
I will jump in on Everyday Shooter when we talk about it. I know you guys are going to talk about that, so I'm going to turn it over to let's do it, John.
I have been playing Everyday Shooter.
Good. Hey,
you got that segue perfectly. Good catch.
I did, didn't I?
Yes.
If I accidentally like keel over dead or anything in this segment, it's because a piece of granola has worked its way through my sinus and into my brain. I don't know how this happened, but I somehow managed to snort granola into my sinuses.
I think if he had some of this bourbon, he'd probably be all right.
I'm very uncomfortable right now.
You should try some. It'll make the pain go away.
Just hold your nose and chug a whole glass.
Yeah, or just snort bourbon through my nose.
Or maybe you should snort some yogurt, and it would somehow go along with it
well.
One
of my earliest memories of Frankie at Bungie actually is he used to snort scotch.
What?
Wow. I don't know.
When we used to work together, like 15, 16 years ago, back in the UK, there was a night in a pub where he was snorting scotch.
Well, that's how the Scottish really do it. I mean, I can tell you that. You go to Scotland, and that's how people drink. It's just. I
wouldn't suggest trying it, Garnet. I know the look on your face tells me that you're kind of interested in maybe trying that. Don't.
You'll lose your hair.
Hell.
I mean, like my old man sometimes calls having a drink having a snort, but surely he doesn't mean it in that way. Right.
So I have been playing Everyday Shooter.
Oh my goodness.
Which is quite an unusual experience.
Dude, it's awesome. I didn't know how awesome it was because I missed it at E3. By the way, I realized that I just invited someone to make the post on the message forum. It's awesome. Oh well, whatever.
People were just taking footage of it today because we got the download for our debugs, and everybody walking by.
It's hard to describe because you want to go, it's kind of like a very stylized 2-stick shooter, but it's so much more than that. There's like a combo system. There's we were talking about it earlier, and you brought up that it's got some Every Extend extraness to it.
It's and I'm playing it again this afternoon. It's just really Every Extend to me, and maybe that's because I've been playing the PSP version of Every Extend since. We had the XBLA version of the what's the Extreme? Is that what it's going to be called?
Yeah.
So that got
E.
Yeah, Every Extend Extra Extreme, and that got me to go try Every Extend Extra because Ryan said, "Hey, dude, if you like that, you should play it." And
right.
Then this really has that element to where you have to watch how everything's converging on the screen and shoot.
And then trigger things so they chain.
Right.
It's got a little res in it too.
A little bit of res in it.
Did you guys read the notes section on it?
I did.
The title screen, because he says like influences were Ikaruga and Every Extend and all those, and gives a shout out to Q and all those companies because it is really a combination of those.
I really like his whole sort of sense of aesthetics because it's got that very stylized, like flat shaded, polygonal, like on a sort of throbby background kind of look to it, and then the really sparse guitar parts that build up.
Really good.
And then the resness of it is, as you're shooting things, it's like making random, and then the better the chains are, it starts turning these random like string plucks on a guitar and
it's
turning
hypnotic
them. It's
too.
really hypnotic. But then as you go through the game, it starts adding things to the, because it's just like little arpeggios played on a guitar, and then like you're adding layers over the top of it, and you can kind of zone out and get into this thing where you're actually playing the sound as opposed to the graphics.
Absolutely.
And it's
cool. He actually Jonathan, the creator of that. Around GDC time, they showed it for the PC, and we had it on the 1UP show, and he got some attention for it there. And we were talking to him at E3, and it was interesting. We were asking him about why put it on the PlayStation Network and not Xbox Live, and it sounds like, to Sony's credit, that they really came through with the kind of testing and the kind of assistance to really help this basically one guy development team make that game. And a lot of people were really buzzing about it at E3, and it's it really worked to their advantage to they kind of met him halfway as far as giving him resources and helping him out before the game came out. And in Xbox Live, you do see a lot of those smaller games come out, but apparently there is still, you have to commit to a certain amount of stuff just to go through testing, and you have to have stuff up front, and
it's my understanding that Microsoft can pull the plug on your XBLA game pretty late in the game.
What I like about it reminds me kind of the old days of the one-man code shops of the
absolutely
back when Jeff Minter was a bit more prolific with his output, and there was a lot of stuff on the 64, maybe more European scene. So these one-man teams that were doing Commodore 64 and Amiga games, and where it was just like the contents of some guy's brain on your TV screen, and it's like you were either in tune with it or you weren't. I mean, we were looking through the notes section again, and this guy doesn't even play on a 16:9 screen. When
he plays 4:3.
He plays 4:3 because it's just how his setup is and everything. So a lot of what you're getting is what his home environment was and how it influenced him. So it's it either works for you, but I mean, it's going to be too weird for some people.
Oh, I don't think so.
I think some people are going to be like, whoa, this is too trippy for me.
It's also tough. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but it's after the third or fourth level, it's your lives go down quickly and things get very busy on screen.
Yeah. Is it Geometry Wars tough, though?
No, because the level's actually advanced. It's not just the same thing, and with slightly more enemies, it's a whole different tactic for everything that comes on screen. And you can kind of just shoot everything slowly and eventually get through the levels, but there's always kind of a solution if you follow the patterns. There's one enemy you'll notice is blinking in a crowd, and if you hit that, it'll chain react and kill all of them on screen. So there's cool things like that to kind of figure each level out more quickly.
I thought some Fantavision to it as well.
Yeah,
throw that up there for good measure.
Dude, I think the notes are really cool. I think you should include the notes in the final product, because I think his whole talk about how he had sat down to create his own game, and he got all caught up in this whole artistic philosophical foo and decided, wait, this is shit, and then broke it down to, what do I like? How do I make a cool game out of that?
But he still did it. I mean, he still made a really creative game.
Yeah, no, he really did, because it's interesting, because his journey to get there was overthinking it and then realizing that and then chopping all that out and just getting down to, hey, what's fun? What works?
Actually, it just occurred to me that everything I played this week has been PS3.
Wow.
I will say, I'm never before I have been on my PS3, downloading trailers. I love that you can bring up the cross-media bar in the middle of stuff. I have more people's accounts. It's finally hitting critical mass. I've been getting emails hey, here's my PS3 account name. What's yours?
I need to get everybody entered in. I don't have but one.
There was a thread a while ago that you can search for that everyone at the office was sharing. So I played that, and I played Pixel Junk Racers, which is probably not really worth us talking about here. It's another PSN game. It's a slot racing game.
Yeah. Slot racing game, meaning like it basically simulates the old Tycho.
Yeah, you're actually using the R2 trigger to try and. I mean, a lot of the challenges are based on trying to get to a certain speed.
There was an Xbox game that did that. Line Riders, was that it?
No,
that sounds. If there was a game called that, I don't know.
I don't want to spend a lot of time on it. It's a PSN game. It's coming soon because it's in their test.
7-player.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
7-player slot cars.
Bluetooth supports 7-player. You got to do something with it.
I've been playing a lot of Warhawk.
Yeah.
A lot of Warhawk.
What are you loving it?
I really.
You guys talked about it last week. I know.
It, yeah. Which is out like in 2-3 weeks now.
Did they fix one of the things Crispin was talking about? You know how you can use the motion control for the Warhawk if you turn on motion control.
Right.
Apparently in the earlier versions we had, you could do that for the Warhawk, but then when you went into the other vehicles, you could use the sticks. But I know in the version that Crispin was reviewing, at least, when you had the motion control turned on for the Warhawks, it also acted for the tank. And
I don't know because
no good.
That would be no good. Yeah.
I still can't control the Warhawks with the motion control.
I think they were going to change it. I think they're going to fix that. I don't know if it's going to be that way retail or they're going to patch it, but they should definitely do that because nobody wants to control a tank with the motion control.
I always did it with the sticks.
But you know what? The stick system works great. I have to say, probably because I played games too long, after I finally sat down and learned how to fly the Warhawks, the stick method works cool. The right stick to do the stunts and tricks works really well. It's all cool.
And once you know how to change the state of the Warhawk from hover mode into high speed mode.
It definitely takes a while. Like that game comes with a big card that has all of the different buttons and things for a good reason. But man, if you get on that game with a bunch of people that you know
it's a lot of
and
fun.
Voice and everything, like I'm excited.
And there's the zones gameplay there where you're capturing zones, but they have like a sort of sphere of influence around them. But depending on how many people you have close to the flag, I mean, it's another, like we were saying earlier, it's another variant on a fairly conventional gameplay mechanic, but there's
a little twist on it.
But there's a little twist on it, and it does work really well. The other PS3 game I've been playing is Heavenly Sword, which we can't really talk about because it's embargoed out the wazoo right now.
You have online preview code.
Yeah?
What you have is online preview code. Remember, you don't have the review code.
I don't have the review code. So I played through, I think it's like chapter 2 all the way through. So I saw a couple of the way it has the bosses structured is kind of interesting because you fight the same boss multiple times over the course of the game, or the same bosses. There's like a family.
Right. It's like Metal Gear.
Yeah, and then it has, and then it introduces some of the 6-axis control, which I'd not seen before.
And that's like, and that's in the demo too, right? That's mostly activating the, I mean, you have it for the aftertouch stuff, but you also have it for the activating the air combos, I think, right? You like hit somebody with something and then you jiggle the 6-axis and that knocks them up in the air. And then you go
but the aftertouch thing is so you can pick up a shield and you can throw it. And then there's some puzzles where you need to throw something against the wall and bounce it off one thing and hit a switch that you can't reach otherwise. And then there's a crossbow thing where you're firing a crossbow and you're actually controlling the arrow through the air, so you can fly it through some flames, and then from the flames you can take it and you can blow shit up.
How do you like it though?
It's not God of War. I don't want to cast too many. I mean, but I think a lot of people have looked at it and have been like, "Oh, it's God of War with a chick with an octopus on her head," and it's
but my answer to that would be, but it's not God of War.
No, but at times I think it wants to be.
But it kind of is, isn't it? I mean,
she has a big sword and she has a couple of blades on the end of chains, and she's running around carving through like swarms and swarms of bad guys, and that's essentially the game.
And it's also very much like a pick up and mash buttons and you'll be okay, but if you want to really learn the combos and stuff, like God of War, you'll...
I mean, God
of War is really just a Devil May Cry, too, I mean, you can always pull a parallel to any game.
I'm not in the review, so I've not played it as deeply, but from playing through the area that I have played through, it struck me as a lot more conventional than I was expecting. It looks stunning, but mechanically, it's extremely conventional. It's not doing. It didn't strike me as doing anything that I've not seen a zillion times before.
That didn't upset me because it looked like fun. I got a vibe of a couple of games just watching it. And keep in mind, I really have not played it. Watching, I got the vibe of Genji. The original one, not the PS3 one.
Yeah.
And I also got some Mark of the Cree feel from the jumping, from everything seems to be staged such that you hit enemies in groups and then are expected to tackle them by fighting a group of people at once. And it's not very much individual combat, it didn't seem like.
Well, and not to draw too many parallels to God of War, but what I liked about and I've only played the demo, what I liked about the demo was I was doing the coolest looking shit. Like, I mean, you really feel like a badass, especially doing the counters. Like, I was like, I did the first one on accident. I'm like, wait, how did I do that? And then I started doing it, and I'm like, like as you're doing it, just like, dude, you feel like the badass.
In the demo, does it have the range stance thing where you can like turn your blades into a whirlwind and knock the arrows out of the sky like heroes? Like,
no,
you only have the stances depending on which weapons you have. So you have that stance when you have the chains, and then you have the heavy stance when you have the heavenly sword, which is you can really carve through things. And then, I mean, I think as it gets close, I think when Shane's on as well, we're gonna have a lot to talk about with this game because it does some things very, very well, and some things where you're like, really? Did it really just do that?
Her hair does bother me. The graphics look great.
It looks like she's wearing an octopus on her head.
And the graphics do. I mean, her hair does bother me. But I would sit there. I just sat there in the demo and like before you even go down that first rope, and just had her walking with the different weapons at the different speeds, like just to watch her animate. Like it looks really good.
Graphics are stunning, and then when it zooms in really close. And the other thing I like is that there's a very British sense of humor to it, which might speak to me more than the rest of you.
Right.
But the main bad guy, and I don't know what it is about him, the thing that Andy Serkis plays, reminds me of David Warner's character in Time Bandits. Do you remember that?
He was the main bad guy?
He was the devil in Time Bandits.
Yeah.
But that sort of ridiculously over-the-top English, like, so evil it's funny kind of, like,
right.
campness to it. It's very camp. I mean, it's not. At least from the way it's presented, I hope they're not serious.
Well, people are talking about the cinemas in that game, though. Like, the segment we did on the show last week, a lot of it was spent on how great the cinemas are, and people don't talk about the cinemas that often or the story in games, and that's part of what people are really excited about in that game.
So it's out in a few weeks, and I think it's going to be very popular with anyone that's got a PS3.
Yeah.
I thought of a non-PS3 game that I played, Mario Strikers.
Oh, yeah.
Charged.
So are you one of the many people surprised by how much they enjoy it, or?
Well,
no.
I was kind of, I was expecting to like it. I don't know why people, because the last Strikers was good.
Yeah, but people who don't really play soccer games, I think.
But soccer is just this slight little vague thing that they had in the back of their mind when they were coming up with it, because half the time you can't possibly tell that it has anything to do with soccer at all.
You're on fire.
It's like demonic Mario flying through the air, shooting a fucking cannonball, and then turning something into ice which shatters, and then the shells scatter and go everywhere. And
that's
then
not how soccer works?
Waluigi or whatever the fuck his name is.
Are you sure you're playing Mario Strikers?
Well, there's a lot of things where you the charged thing is there's moves that you can do with the Wiimote where if you have enough space around you can sort of like pull the Wiimote back while you're charging forward, and it charges up this meter, and then he'll like fly up into the air, and there's this sort of like very anime style like crazy special attack move where the ball suddenly turns into 8 balls and he kicks all of them, and then the goalkeeper has to use the Wiimote to deflect them with his hands or whatever. And it gets very dark. It's all like backlit, and Mario's eyes are all glowing, or Waluigi has these sort of like tendrils of smoke coming out from behind him, and it's all like
sounds like some kind of Final Fantasy summoning.
I know, it's like, Jesus, this is Mario.
I call Shiva.
But it's all like, you're playing soccer on fragments of asteroids and things like that with force fields around them. I mean, it's soccer. Well, there's a ball that you kick.
Well, it's like the barest essential of soccer, and then they decided to make, like a fun game.
Yeah, but it's like...
And what do you know? It still won't be popular in America.
It's like there were a lot of games sort of associated with the bigger soccer games years ago where they would do a five-a-side soccer, like an indoor soccer mode in it. I think FIFA did it for a while as well, where it was much faster paced and you can bounce things off the walls and the rules are slightly different.
Right.
It's like a five-a-side soccer game with like crazy lasers and stuff.
It's like call it like Mario Ball, like Kelvin Ball. You just make the rules as you go and you run out of the stadium, and then you can just get anywhere.
There's some speedball to it. Remember that, the Bitmap Brothers game? It's a bit like, there's lots of bits like that, but it's great, and multiplayer is fantastic. And there's a lot of people on the boards actually have been swapping Wii friend codes for the first time to play this online.
So you do really like it. You're just not surprised that you.
No, I'm not surprised that I like it because it's the last one was a lot more conventional in its presentation. But I think this is great.
Yeah, cool.
Bring it, Nick.
All right. Well, I'm going to talk about Glory Days 2, shockingly, which...
Everybody just went, he's going to talk about what?
What the hell is Glory Days? Is that
Are
like...
you going to talk about it at length, Nick?
John just pulled out his PDA to check email.
I think I have somewhere I need to be.
I'd like to point that out, yeah. John's like, okay, lean back in the chair. What is this? Is this like a PC like history funutainment game?
That's what I thought. I mean, it's for the DS, and I kept seeing it on the... Because I update our weekly release schedule, and I kept seeing it on the schedule and kept being pushed back, and I was like, whatever, it's just some... garbage DS game. And then today I was looking for a game to review and asked Garnet.
Which I shoved to him as a garbage DS game to shove to the intern.
If I remember rightly, this was originally assigned to you, Garnet.
No, negative. This was not to me. This was not. I did not do that to Nick.
Just to be clear, is it Glory Days like DAYS or Glory Days DAZE?
No. It's good.
Not that I wouldn't do that to Nick. Just I didn't do it this time.
Right.
So tell us tell me what the hell it is.
So anyway, it's a sequel to a Game Boy Advance game. I didn't know anything about this game.
Yeah.
It's actually really cool. And I'm a lot of reviews come on these garbage things. I kind of dread them a bit, but now I'm looking forward to reviewing this. It's really unique. It's almost, I described it, Garnet, as like a side-scrolling Advance Wars, but that's all real-time strategy. There's no you don't stop it at all, but it plays kind of like Defender, where there's a long 2D map, and you're flying back and forth between...
John's completely perplexed now.
Yeah, I'm like, real-time, side-scrolling Advance Wars?
And it's like Defender?
Yeah.
Okay, so
keep going.
It's set up like Defender, where it's a long 2D battlefield, and there's army on each side, and you start at one end, and you're usually a helicopter or a plane. And essentially, it's two armies marching towards each other, and you're zooming over to the other side, like dropping bombs on their bases and shooting their troops marching, or picking up civilians and dropping them back at your side. If you drop off civilians, you get powered up, and then you can build more units, and you essentially just build tanks or more troops that then start marching over to the other side. So it's just kind of like constant tug of war in the middle, with you zooming back and forth, because you have to go, every time you drop your bombs, you go back to your base, and you get refilled with more bombs.
So it's like Choplifter meets...
Kind of, yeah.
I was thinking Choplifter as he was describing.
You know what I was thinking of was that, remember that PlayStation 3 game they showed in the home demonstration?
Yeah, that actually, when I first started...
Is that like Glory Days, like next-gen Glory Days?
It's much... Because that one seemed like it had canyons, you kind of go up and down slower. This is very fast-paced, you just zip back and forth. There's no verticality to it outside of the single screen. The controls are a little weird because you're controlling it either with the touchscreen on the bottom combined with the D-pad to shoot, or you can just use all the buttons, which I've kind of ended up doing. But it's really cool. It's fast-paced and really hectic, but there's still strategy you have to keep in the back of your mind. You have to keep bringing forth the units.
I'm imagining the planning session for that. So guys, D-pad, touchscreen, shooter, strategy game.
And it's bizarre because
two armies facing each other.
Glory Days 1 broke all expectations when it sold 3,000 units.
Are you actively seeking out Glory Days 1 for some context now?
I might now. And apparently I was reading a bit online for some history. Apparently the multiplier was great too, so I want to try that.
So what platform was that on?
The original was on GBA.
Okay.
I don't know if it... I think it came out in the US. If it did, it was no one paid attention. But this is really cool, and I think a lot of people who actually go through the trouble of finding out what it is and reading what it is will be interested in it.
So two questions. One, who publishes it?
Eidos.
Yes, Eidos. And then two, so it's on the DS.
Yes.
It's using one screen for what's going on.
The top screen is you and whatever action's going on. The bottom screen is just a shot of the wherever the most action is on the battlefield. If the two armies are meeting, that's what it'll focus in on. But it also functions as the touch screen for control if you want it to. And the funniest thing about it is the interstitials, in between the levels setting them up. It's the story about this guy going to war, and it's very serious. It's a letter, and it's he's writing to his parents, and he's give this to my wife when I die. And it's just
it's a Ken Burns documentary.
It's this
My Dearest Agatha.
Scary, it's a scary war stuff, and then it's just the silly, the graphics are kind of almost Lemmingsy. Little, I
hate that scary war stuff.
Yeah, so I'm surprised and shocked and disappointed that I've never heard of Glory Days 1 because
this
does sound kind of cool.
It is cool.
All right,
definitely worth checking.
I think it just got more publicity than it's had in its entire process.
So
you may have
might
just
be sending you guys
something.
more bourbon next week. Or bourbon.
There you go. Glory Days 3, the return of the bourbon.
And this really could be an Xbox Live title. I'll say that too, and PlayStation Network. This would be ideal for that, especially with multiplayer.
Hint.
Yeah.
All right.
Anything else you've been twiddling your thumbs to?
We won't talk about it too much because I know you guys have talked about it on the show quite a bit, but I just finished The Darkness and I actually really liked it. I know
I hear the most mixed stuff about The Darkness.
Yeah, I know on BGM Live, the three of them kind of just sat, or four of them sat around bashing it for like 20 minutes, which I was kind of shocked.
I had a good time with it. I mean, it wasn't the best thing ever, but I had a good time.
I just thought it was like ridiculously immersive, and the people in every NPC had like a weight in this world, and I cared when I killed them. And that rarely ever happens for me.
It just sounds funny to hear.
I know.
Not having played the game, you're like every NPC was important, and I cared when I killed them.
And it's funny because I had like blogged about this on 1UP, and one of the comments, someone said something to the effect like, "Yeah, when I killed someone, I felt weird about it." And I'm like, "Yeah, we'd think in games we would feel bad when we kill people, but usually there's no like effort put behind making them real people, so we don't."
But yeah, there are definitely characters where. I mean, when you can see a death coming, whether you're doing it or someone else is doing it, there was a bit of a twist to it. Like,
yeah, I mean,
I didn't think they'd do it like that right in front of me.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Usually it's more just curiosity, like, oh, I wonder if I can shoot this guy or not, like in an NPC.
I guess I can.
Yeah. Oh, now I kind of feel bad.
So did you go for which was the actual end for you? The first end or the second end? That's the
non-spoiler.
You guys already completely fucking spoiled it. Now I don't need to play the game. You guys like laughed about it. Yes, massage chairs. I know the whole thing now. You guys completely spoiled it.
That spoiled it for you?
Yes.
People on massage chairs?
Yes.
That wasn't the ending for me.
Oh. Really?
Yeah. I actually really like the real ending.
Really?
I mean, I don't think it's a spoiler to say you don't have total control over a lot of parts of it, but I kind of like that because
so where are you going to be working next?
When you do have control over the Darkness for long periods of time, that's when it kind of falls apart because the mechanics aren't great. But this was like very cinematic without making you do the cool stuff.
The game's not so great when you can control it.
Really? it needs the stuff that breaks it up to keep it exciting, the scripted bits. Yeah.
Really? This is interesting because I just read someone else's comment about The Darkness a little while ago on our message where they were like, "Yeah, I don't even know why they call this game a shooter. The only thing you shoot are lights." I didn't play it that way. Did you play it that way?
You also shoot your darklings when they piss you off. But I mean, yeah, I did. Why did you use a little creepy crawly claw to kill everything?
Yeah, I guess. I didn't read the rest of it. That's all he said was, "I don't know why they call this game a shooter. All I shot was lights."
Well, that's boiling it down a little far.
Yeah, I mean, I actually used the guns, but maybe that's just because I'm so accustomed to playing shooters. There's lots of ways to play the game. That's why I was thinking it funny that you said the darkness powers weren't that big a deal. I thought they worked pretty well.
But did I say that?
Isn't that what he said?
I don't remember him saying that.
Mm-hmm. Didn't you say the mechanic didn't work well when you?
No, I just mean the general game mechanics. Like the shooting doesn't feel great. So like,
it's not a high-end shooter. But.
That's why I think that's what stops it from being like a great shooter. Is like there's no, it's not visceral when you kill anything in the game. Considering there's so much killing, that's kind of frustrating.
And it's interesting because I hear one thing or the other. I hear 9, great game, awesome,
there's no reason not to try it. I mean,
dude, you should definitely try it.
Worst case scenario, you'll really get into it and like the world. It's not going to like immediately turn you off.
Yeah,
I will say I didn't like it as much as I liked Riddick.
I didn't play much of Riddick. I know
that's a crime.
I know I will.
It's not a crime. It's just a good game.
Is it? Well, now I'll wait for the new one. Whatever.
Yeah, wait for the new one.
Did you like the movie The Crow?
No.
You probably won't like The Darkness.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Good call.
It's that kind of vibe.
Yeah,
right?
For Halloween once.
Does it have the darkness on top of a steeple at one point playing his guitar tragically to raindrops?
Maybe. We don't
Maybe.
Really
I wouldn't want to spoil it for you, Mark.
Wow, they should have.
He's actually in a massage chair at the time. Mark, what have you been playing?
I've been playing a lot of stuff, surprisingly, but I can talk about almost anything since I've been on the show last, which is like a month. So that's a lot of stuff. Persona 3, Shane has talked about at length. I don't need to go on too long about it, but yeah, it's good. Dragon Quest Swords, which Shane has also talked about, but I think his
take's not so positive.
No,
for babies.
He's a little, yeah, exactly. It's a little too simplified.
People get very upset when he says that.
I thought it was hilarious, and then I know Jeremy brought it up again last week.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is for babies in the way. I mean, it's very much like cartoony, very simple graphics, which I think is great. Like, play to the Wii strengths. I've been just played Dragon Warriors Katana as well, which is kind of a similar game, and they go for the realistic approach, and it's like. Yeah, I kind of like how Dragon Quest Swords did it with the very cartoony characters. Things animate well. It's an awesome idea. It basically uses the Wiimote as your sword. You do like 8 different kinds of slashes, anything from straight horizontal to vertical to diagonal, and it actually takes real advantage of that. It makes you, it really asks for you to fine tune your aiming because you have these combos that go on as you go through the levels.
And it's one-on-one slashing.
Yeah, well,
or one.
You go through a level, you're on rails. You have no control at all. It doesn't even use the nunchuck. You have no control at all of where you move. You just go straight through the levels, and it branches at different points. And you're encouraged to come back through the levels because there's certain branches you can't go to at first. And John is completely lost in thought. He's like, Dragon Quest Swords. All right, I have 5 minutes to think about what I need to do tomorrow in the morning.
I think it was actually on. I wonder what we're having for dinner tonight.
But
granola.
But it made me dust off my Wii. I played it for an entire weekend. It has surprising depth.
Dust
I'll
off
say that.
your Wii?
Dust off my Wii.
You've not been playing anything on the Wii?
No,
Seriously?
What have you been playing on the Wii?
Dude, his
Really?
Wii does not get a lot of use.
Apparently not. My Wii, I mean, maybe it's because I have kids, but it's all we play at
Your
the
kids are
weekend.
playing cars 24/7.
It is because you have kids. You've only got it a couple months ago, and you have kids, so you're still playing like Wii Sports and stuff, right?
Yeah, and I still actually have Zelda and Resident Evil to really dig into.
Yeah. So for those of us who have like finished that shit like way past that stuff, it was like a good excuse to like take the Wii out. The problem with it is it does ask for, if you want to really get into it and hit all the enemies just right and combo them right, you really want to be doing the sword slashes exactly, and it's not precise enough, which is really so like 4 slimes appear and they're lined up this certain way, and you need to do a slash diagonal perfectly, and you do what you feel like is a perfect diagonal slash, and it comes out straight horizontal, right? And it's annoying, but when it's great is the boss battles. A lot of people have compared it to Punch-Out, and it's very much like that. All the bosses have tells on what kind of attack they're going to do, and you defend or attack in a lot of different ways, and so it's very much like, okay, he's rearing back with his right arm high, he's going to punch high then low, then high then low, left right, so you're defending that, and then you come back and you can hit him so many times. It's very much like Punch-Out. So
Mark makes this game 10 times as interesting as Shane does.
It's
Shane just dismissed it outright.
Yeah.
It's like he opens his hole about that, and it's like goodbye, blah, blah, blah.
If you walked past it at the Square, whatever event in Makuhari Messe in Japan, it probably would seem like that. But if you actually like sit down and spend some time with it, you can upgrade your weapons. You gather different items. It's got a lot of replay. It actually reminds me in a weird way of Pokemon Snap.
Okay, let me bring it home with this then. Here's my question, because I've been wondering about this for a long time.
Yeah.
How close does this game come to being the Wii game that takes the control set and does something not first gen, like moves it beyond just first gen Wii control?
Well, this is, I will say this is that game because it does allow for the possibility of, 8 degrees of precision. Like, it's not even just diagonal. It's more vertical than horizontal diagonal. There's literally like a 8-degree axis of precision.
There's
that you can
northeast
do with it.
in there.
So it should be that game, but it's not quite as precise yet. And I will say this is the type of game that I expected to see a ton of on the Wii. I thought every other game was going to be.
You probably will now.
Well, and like I said with Samurai Warriors Katana, it's using that same thing. It does it very differently, but I just want more precision, and I have hope. I was going to say I have faith, but I won't say that. I have hope that Square Enix, when they bring it over here, will tweak that, will maybe add the nunchuck for when you're in town to move around. There's a lot of little things they could do to improve it a lot, but still, for the people who will give it a chance, for people who can be into a game like, dare I say, a Pokemon Snap, like a cutesy game that you replay a lot of levels, it's actually very good under its kiddie coating. You won't be disappointed.
Cool.
Yeah.
What else?
Monster Hunter Freedom 2, which, speaking of disappointment, all you pretty much have to say is it's still not online.
I can feel the wrath of Milky descending upon you.
Milky, I want to love the Monster Hunter games. The Monster Hunter games are amazing games. They have unbelievable graphics. This might be, besides God of War, the best-looking PSP game. But, just a ridiculous array of items. You make your own stuff. But it's like an MMO. It's like Phantasy Star Online, where you can never go online. Yes, you can play locally with people, but you're never going to have those people around you.
We can play together.
Like 4 people with four cartridges it's
You
good.
need to be able to
They're
talk
going to
to each
set up
other.
like a Friday night monster hunt.
Monster Hunter parties, apparently they have them in Japan. I don't know. The crazy thing is, this is the best-selling game this year in Japan. Not the best-selling PSP game, the best-selling game. So, sold better than Pokemon in 2007 in Japan. Yes.
Really?
It's ridiculous. It makes no sense. I'm pissed off. I wish the goddamn Japanese people would stop buying it so they would put online in it. Like, please, just like, don't buy it next time and say, look, we want to buy it. Just put online in it. We will buy it. But
Dear Japan, please don't buy this. Love Mart.
they did it the first time. They did it the second time. And I mean, it's so gut-wrenching. It's so bittersweet because it's such a great game. I mean, there's so many items and they're all unique looking. It has that awesome MMO PSO feel where you see somebody and you're like, oh, that's fucking kick-ass
The thing
sword.
I always like
How
about
did you
Monster
get that
Hunter
sword?
is because the weapons actually look big enough to kill monsters with.
Right.
You weren't like killing giant dragons with a short sword. You're killing them with these big freaking lances that you're like, yeah, I could skewer a monster with that.
The whole aesthetic is great. The translation is good. You know, they have these like cats that are really funny that just kind of hang around town. It is an amazingly deep game for a PSP game. It's, you know, one of the deepest games that the PSP has, or even that the PS2 had. But god damn it, like just put the thing online. And I'm still really excited for PS3.
What, the Resident
Monster
Evil
Hunter.
Online didn't scare you off of that kind of online?
Right. Well, yeah, Capcom has had their struggles with online, like that's for sure. But the problem is it's selling so well, they have no
It's time to get it right.
to put it online. But
Time to get it right.
I can't recommend it to somebody unless you are the most patient person in the world to play by yourself. And apparently,
Have friends.
Are you sure it's the best
Or
selling
have-
game this year?
yes, Famitsu had a feature while I was in
Are there
Japan.
enough PSPs in Japan
It was
for
like
it to achieve that?
1.4 million,
So
like
it's a
just this year.
system seller there,
And
apparently.
Pokemon was around one. Oh, it was a huge system. They had a Monster Hunter like pack there. I believe it's huge. It's ridiculous.
They had Monster
John.
Hunter Happy Meals. It was fantastic.
John, there are Bible-sized books in Japanese bookstores, like just about Monster Hunter, like several different ones of them. It's huge. It's ridiculous. They have different lines of like plush animal
But you know what?
toys, T-shirts.
They don't really have them here, so what's the next game you've been playing?
It's a phenomenon, yes, but it's not here.
It is coming here, though, right?
Yeah, no, this
No,
is
it's here.
that's
You're
what
playing,
Yeah,
you're
no, it's
playing the
here.
US version.
I'm reviewing Freedom 2. Yeah, it's called like Monster Hunter Second Portable, or I forget what the Japanese name is, but yeah, it's coming here. That I'm playing the US version, but it's basically the same as the Japanese version. And you know, they added like some new classes, some new weapons, et cetera, but really it has the same problems as the first one for me. Marathon. I tried the Xbox Live demo.
And
None of you guys tried this?
Yeah,
no.
I played it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Did you play it back in the day?
Yes.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
So because I tried, it's not really fair, you know, judging it now is like, okay, this game looks like ass. And
Of course, it looks like ass.
It
Come
still
on,
does
no,
look
but-
a lot better than like Doom, though, like noticeably.
are you kidding?
You don't
I
think so?
completely disagree.
Ooh.
Like the character designs for Doom and the character designs for this, like the character designs for this are horrendous, I thought. I'm
But
like,
the guys with the sideways mouths in their chests.
oh,
You don't like those?
the guys with the spears in the first level and like the little robot, they look so.
You prefer
Ugh.
Pink Demons?
But it's Marathon.
Well, so the thing that I can tell is that they did, okay, it's cool. They did a Doom.
Shane just walked in and is already pulling faces.
Here.
And yeah, I did actually start to feel a little sick. I think it's the 60 frames a second.
It seems like that's happening to a lot of
Yeah,
people.
a lot of people are getting the motion sickness.
It's funny because I saw one of the Freeverse, the guys who were reporting it. I guess one of the developers responded to that and said no one along the entire production line ever experienced that, or the test team, or anything. So he says that it's just some people get it from first-person shooters. And
So what the subtext was, "You're all pussies. Shut up."
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
suck it up and play the game.
It must not be a problem then, even though everyone who plays it is talking about it. But
It's working as intended.
I can kind of tell, like, I remember seeing Marathon when I was back in college and feeling sorry for my friends that they only had a Mac and that they couldn't be playing Doom, because it seemed to me that that's what it was.
Yeah, I had a Mac and I was like, I'm so much better than everyone
Well,
else.
but I understand now. It's like Doom with a story, right? The appealing part is not the things that you're shooting.
Doom
at.
has a story.
It's also good. I mean,
Doom story is the worst fucking story like ever
Why
told.
are you channeling fucktard right now?
I have no idea.
Doom story like
it possessed me right after Shane.
It also not so much just the story, but like one of the things that make Halo great, just a really cohesive world between all like the backstory you can read on the terminals. It's kind of like in Metroid
Right.
when you scan stuff, and like the sound is. I don't know if you like listen to the music or even like the title screen sound and all that. It was like really that's the kind of thing
title
people have
screen-
nostalgia for.
the
who
title
play
screen
it.
sound effect though reminded me of Altered Beast.
Good God, are we talking about the title screen of a
Or like a
game?
Dalek.
I'm
No,
just saying
because
that-
I noticed it was like marathon. It like started in something. I was like, did he? I couldn't even tell if he said marathon or what he had said. It was probably very impressive back in 1990, whatever, 6.
Right. So, those are like the nostalgic
Do you like the game?
elements, but
I the demo came up and it was like buy it or not, and I was like,
Not
no,
okay.
yeah, got
also-
other stuff to do.
it's also a hell of a package on Live though, because it's got like really comprehensive multiplayer and co-op, and it's like
Hell of a
just
job,
so people know.
hell of a job, Brownie.
So
Hell
before,
of
we,
a
before we
package.
wrap you out of here, you were at Koei also.
I was
and,
at Koei.
and I want to know a couple of things about Koei. First of
Yeah.
all, Fatal Inertia, should PS3 owners give a shit that this is now a 360 game?
I wouldn't worry too much about it. I mean, I'm not saying it's terrible, but in terms of like,
But
in terms of like exclusives,
Is it
like,
a, did you play
shed too
Pod
many
Racer?
tears. I did play Pod Racer,
And
I hated Pod Racer back in the day. So it doesn't. I had hoped it would look better, and I'd hoped it would control a little better. I don't think it's a terrible game by any means, but if the question is, should you feel too bad that it's an exclusive, I wouldn't worry too much about it.
it seems to be the consensus online from the demo that came out today.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it's okay. It's okay.
anything else there grab your eye?
I already talked a little bit about Samurai Warriors Katana.
Was that Blade Storm game there? Is that
Yeah, I didn't really not too much interest in that. Too many like samurai helmets and Romance of the Three
well,
Kingdoms
that's
stuff.
kind of their thing. Shoei's
vibe.
thing.
Yeah, I
samurai
know,
helmets.
I know. I'm the wrong guy to talk about the whole Koei event. That's a given. Orochi, I guess, is there's going to be some new stuff of that coming out today as well. But
Good deal.
Yeah.
Nice work, Nick.
Thank you much.
What do you think? How'd you like it? Did you enjoy it?
Great. And
well done.
And he got. By the way, Shane, he promoted a game you've never heard of before. Would you like to? What is it?
He's probably right about Glory Days too.
Glory Days 2.
Ooh,
That's
maybe
right.
not.
Shane
No.
looks puzzled.
Yep.
Oh, perplexed even.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what did the original come out for?
Commodore
Oh,
64.
fail.
Oh,
Fail. Shane fails, but he won't fail in the next segment. We're going to be coming back. We're going to do the fabled 4-minute warning. First time for Mark McDonald to join us. You won't want to miss it. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to play? The 2007 Midnight Gaming Championship Tournament may be coming to a city near you. The baddest gaming tournament in the US is touring the country. Visit midnightgamingchampionship.com for details and to watch the tournaments live. Game on.
All right, we're back, and John is here, and that means we definitely have some message board stuff to kind of give us a little pre-roll for the big 4-minute warning session. So, John, take it away.
Did any of you study philosophy?
I took 1 or 2 classes in college.
Well,
I did, actually.
there was a board that has since been locked because I thought he was stretching a little bit, actually, because it was...
This is a scary way to start talking about the boards, by the way, saying, like, did any of you study philosophy?
It was an allegory of the cave material.
No. So Zargax, who has had a thread which has since been locked, called "Games as a Vehicle Philosophy," where as a vehicle for philosophy, where he picked up on Ken Levine had told Sean Elliott in GFW that he was being harassed by hardcore objectivist philosophers. Apparently, they band together and travel in groups and harass people. Because the premise of BioShock is that there's this objectivist utopia that failed.
Right.
I mean, that's the whole premise of the game. That
Mhm.
and that they object to the premise on principle that it can't possibly be wrong.
You're right. Utopias usually actually work out very well.
Wasn't
in
that the whole
literature.
point of it being utopia?
Do they go around and ban every like dystopian futuristic movie that where the utopia fails? Like these must be very actually busy philosophers.
So he brought this up, and he was talking about just the nature of utopian things in video games or whatever. And he was reaching, and I admire what he was trying. But
you gently smacked him back down.
No, I didn't gently smack him back down. However, I was surprised that he got some of the responses that he did. There was some discussion of
thoughtful, intelligent discourse.
This was an unusual moment from a board that basically can actually boil anything down to a 360 versus PS3 debate.
Right.
Yenderil, who it turns out is a philosophy major, brought up that essentially people that study philosophy are predisposed to wanting to be right.
And we might as well just go ahead and start the collection for Yenderil, because if he's a philosophy major, that means he's completely screwed up for life.
He said that all philosophy majors like Plato's The Republic because it's talking about a political system where the philosophers are running the show and everything must be fine.
Philosopher Kings.
Yeah.
I don't know that that's necessarily true.
Really?
Many of them will, but there's always the philosopher who's going to
all
take...
philosophy majors thought the Republic was the shit.
I think there's always going to be, because of the fact that if you want to be a good philosopher, you have to be able to differentiate yourself and stand out on your own ability to formulate a solid argument and base it with...
hit the button. All
right. Anyway, there's got to be someone who's going anti-Republic.
There's some good stuff in there.
Anyway,
right?
so this is it. So
if he didn't cite Kierkegaard, he's definitely nowhere in the ballpark.
I was impressed that someone attempted to start this conversation on our board.
Yeah.
Was not surprised when it degenerated completely and got locked.
I kind of want it to turn into PS3 versus 360 at this point, honestly. Like, did anybody tie it back into games, or was it just...
I think the PS3 can make really good-looking shadows on the cave wall. in Plato's The Allegory of the Cave.
Yeah.
Wow.
The kid is brought up only in a cave.
Yeah.
I am so impressed.
Not the Metal Gear shadows so much, though.
Although,
what's up with that?
It's up this kid. Metal Gear Solid 2 has a lot. It's ripe for the
I know.
For the philosophical.
I was just waiting for you to mention Metal Gear Solid 2.
There's shit in Metal Gear Solid 2 that will kill your toes.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, it would be the 360 version that was casting the shadows in the PS3 version of the cave.
That's true.
Okay, well, speaking of Metal Gear Solid, I'm glad that you're here for this.
Thank you.
Jay Ray noticed that in the MGS4 trailer, Snake has blue eyes. Does everyone know the significance of this?
Blue eye?
Not at all.
He has a blue eye. And that Solid Snake, as those of you that pay attention to such things will know, that he has brown eyes. And that Big Boss, Liquid, and Solidus have blue eyes. You would not believe how big of a discussion this turned into.
Well, that's interesting.
Actually, I might.
Yeah. It was something I never, and I could just be completely out of the loop on this, but in one of the trailers, it shows Snake take off his mask.
That was the TGS trailer from last year.
Well, he takes the old man Snake.
And he's young again.
Yeah, and he's young underneath.
Yeah.
So... has anything been made of that,
no.
or that's never been explained?
There was some discussion of that, and then there was some discussion of that apparently the Smash Brothers model also has blue eyes, and the Twin Snakes model has blue eyes, which kind of fucks with the theory a little bit.
Yeah,
because he shouldn't. He should have brown eyes.
That could just
blame
be
Dyack.
That could just be a screw up, though. I mean, that could.
Mark blames Dennis Dyack.
That's not what I.
That's what he told me.
Actually, Unreal Engine 3 is only able to do blue eyes.
Oh,
that's why they're they're suing.
So I mean, this turned into like the minutia that Metal Gear hardcore fans are prepared to discuss and then get very angry about.
Yeah, that minutia is very complicated. And with MGS4, we know so little that I'm not even trying to extrapolate.
So there's a lot of people hypothesizing that Kojima is just trying to fuck with everybody.
It's possible.
Someone floated the theory that they have suspicions that Solid Snake is actually gay based on some of the things over the games.
Wait, what? Where does that come from?
I'm not really sure. I think
the statue scene, maybe? I don't know.
Predominantly from hanging onto the guy's dong at the beginning. Then there was obviously, because of the blue eyes, brown eyes, there was some discussion. Is it Big Boss? Is it not? And Sephiroth Slayer brought up that Big Boss has a right eye patch and Solid Snake has a left eye patch.
Oh,
and here is indication of the kind of conversation that I expect on our message boards, as opposed to anything about philosophy. Panda Bear, I can't read my own writing. Panda Bear, Sheryu, something.
All right.
Yes.
I'll get crucified for pronouncing that wrong.
Panda Bear.
Picked up on he claims game scores shouldn't be lowered due to price. Picking up on the new story that we wrote this week about how we still don't know the download price of Warhawk
Are we talking about that now? Or
No, we'll be bringing that subject
back. But you
back.
remember, Mark, years ago, I had first started EGM. We had a giant drag down, yelling at each other fight about the price of entry
PSO?
for PSO episode 1 and 2.
Yeah, I only remember
and then all you motherfuckers
PSO.
played the shit out of that.
We fought, yelled at each other for a good hour about this because I was arguing that like it's so much fun if you have the keyboard, and the keyboard was $100.
Oh, that's right. Okay, now it makes sense. I was like, I only remembered that it was about PSO.
Right.
I was like, why would that?
Yeah, I was like,
be a
if
price
you buy
argument?
this keyboard, which costs $100, then it's really, really, really fun. And you were like, no one can buy that keyboard; it's really expensive.
We're talking about the GameCube version, where you had to have like the custom $100.
Yeah, that was the first time the price of entry.
Right. Well, it doesn't come up very often in video games because, I mean, they're a pretty constant thing.
Well, but I've reviewed a few games along the years that have been like this. Like, I reviewed Pac-Man Versus and Twisted Metal Black Online, which are both free games. I'm like, well, these games are free. You don't pay any money for them.
So
yeah. I did take that into account when I was reviewing. I'm like, you didn't pay any money for it.
But this is something that, I mean, and we're going to address it. We'll address it again probably in news. Yeah, we're going to talk about it. And then it is going to be an ongoing thing until Sony announces the price. But I think for us and for all the other games media and for the sort of all gamers, that value is now something that we really do have to pay attention to, because there's going to be multiple SKUs of games that are essentially the same. It's just how it's packaged, and is the fact that it has, in this case, is the headset, is that all the extra that you're really getting? Is it? Are you getting more for the $60?
Mark, when you reviewed Steel Battalion for Xbox and gave it a really high score, I don't think you did take the price into account.
I did.
Oh, wait a minute. I would argue in Steel Battalion, not only the price, but the peripheral made the game. I mean, that was the game.
And I actually did take that into account in my review. Like, I didn't review it. Don't confuse my score with Che's score.
Che gave it a 9.5, right?
Yeah.
No, that's way too high.
But I think there's a need now for some consistency, and not just in download versus packaged. On when packaged is the same game, but it has other stuff in it, but it's the same price.
Am I stupid? Hold on. Don't answer that question. But the question I do want you to answer is, how did you just relate a super detailed, incredibly cool peripheral to a game being free?
Well, it's a matter of, do you judge this game in a vacuum, like the experience of the game itself and the merits of that game in a magical vacuum, versus do you take into account the price you have to pay to get this game home?
So is it a reviewer's job to assess value, or is it purely experience?
So the point where you get into trouble, and I think this is where the sort of people got in arms about on the 1UP news story, was when you start attaching exact numbers to numbers, right? If you start saying like, this price, it's this, and if it's that price, it's that.
That's the slip up.
If it starts getting exact, then it's like, oh, well, wait, this, you get down that slippery slope where it's like, wait, where is...
Like, the collector's edition is a 7, but the regular edition is an 8.
Mm-hmm. So that's one step away from the publisher calling us and saying, wait, if we price this game at $30, would you give it a point higher?
Right.
Yeah, because it's not an exact science. Like, it's not.
But it's only come up a few times so far. There was when the 2K sports games were $20, where they weren't particularly good, but they were cheap, so there was a trade-off there. And then a recent one was We Play, which was essentially you buying an extra controller and paying a bit extra to get.
Actually, the 2K football game that year was good.
It was all right, yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
I mean, it's tricky because I remember when Resident Evil 4 was coming out again for Wii, it was like, well, okay, but is it going to be full price, or are they going to like give you a break on it?
So this Panda Bear guy argues that he doesn't feel that it's reviewers' jobs to assess value for him, that he wants to do that. Crispy 4001, who's been very active the last week, says that the example that he would use to counter that is Geometry Wars Galaxies is going to be $50 and Geometry Wars was $5.
Right.
How do they justify the additional $45? There has to be a value proposition as part of the assessment of Galaxies.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the other thing is, if you're rating experience, I mean, something that we talked about internally is that if you were to read a review of a car that purely spoke about how good the car was, and then everyone's, okay, great, I'll buy it. And you go, oh, that car's $120,000.
Sorry, McLaren F1. I think I'll be buying a Honda Accord.
Yeah, it's the same reason that all the virtual console, the different eras of games are different prices, because it is a different value.
But I think with these download packs, you're right. It's something we're going to have to address more and more moving forward.
And we need to be very visible about it, and there needs to be a policy that's very easy to articulate, and that's something that and Warhawk is going to be the catalyst for that, I think, because it is a precedent setter on so many levels.
Right.
It'll be the trailblazer. I don't know that it'll be the precedent, but it'll be the trailblazer for sure.
I think Sony are in a
precedent will take longer to establish.
Sony aren't really in the position to be the precedent setter because I think it's a little ambitious trying to do this now. If they were doing it a year from now, I think they'd be in a much stronger position to be setting the agenda like this.
One of the questions we're going to look at in 4-Minute Warning is what is the future of the downloadable front for video games? Mm-hmm. So we'll get to that.
What else do we have? Blah, 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 blah. I did the eyes. The Squadron of Shame were playing PsyOps. That was a huge thread. Did degenerate a little bit in the middle.
Propers to them.
Are they getting ready for Stranglehold? Is that the impetus there?
I think that way it was that. And,
same developer.
Yeah, same developer, and just that, there was some arguing. It did degenerate. There were some assholes from the board that were trying to derail this thing, and props to the mods for sifting that out a little bit. I know the Squadron have been having a hard time keeping their threads alive, and but this one did get back on track.
Well, the Squadron knows what they're doing, because PsyOps actually is a really, really good sleeper hit, but even more sleeper is Second Sight. And I would be very interested for them to shift gears from this and do like a compare
That was
and contrast.
the game,
Codemasters?
No, it was...
Time Splitters people?
Yeah, the Hayes guy. Yeah, the
yep.
Free Radical.
Free Radical, yeah.
But it was a very similar premise.
And what I liked about Second Sight relative to PsyOps is that the story construction and the character development is considerably better.
Well, PsyOps didn't really have either. It was a dude with powers.
And Second Sight's really well put together. I think many people would be very surprised to go back and play Second Sight.
That came and went. That game.
I'm just saying,
right.
But that's what Squadron of Shame is for. Squadron of Shame, you might want to look at it maybe as an adjunct to PsyOps.
Two more things. Nukem 945 brought up some Rock Band concerns, citing the Madden server shutdowns on a fairly regular basis, and being concerned that is Rock Band going to suffer from the same thing? I would say probably yes.
Yep.
Something about Rock Band, and you guys talked about it last week, but something I was thinking while I was listening to the show was, do you guys not think Guitar Hero is going to sell rings around Rock Band?
I've said from the get-go it's going to, because it's on PS2, DS, and Wii.
And Wii.
Yep. But I do think that the core influencers, like the real hardcore, are going to move up to Rock Band.
It's interesting. It's going to be kind of this separation where it's like it seems like, at this point anyway, like the innovation is going to go, like the discerning, like the critics and everybody's going to go with Rock Band. But I mean, look at what Guitar Hero 2 did, PS2. Like the fact that it's not, coming out on PS2 or Wii, like the PS2, sales are going to all go to Guitar Hero.
Right, we talked about this last week. The Nielsen ratings say 42% of people playing games in America right now are playing PS2 games. So, you can't discount that. Yeah. It's not as glamorous, but...
And by the way, isn't playing the guitar like the lead part of these games? I mean, we've talked about how fun drums could be to play.
Well, but you saw today, there's an analyst predicting that next year Guitar Hero is going to add more instruments.
I think Guitar Hero 3
sure they will.
I think as much as we've decided to hop on the Rock Band wagon, that Guitar Hero 3 is going to be very solid. It's going to be very good. You're going to enjoy it a lot. I think them going to Score Hero, like a couple of the regular posters on the boards said, hey, you really need to check out the Guitar Hero indie mod scene. I was amazed. You know, those guys have like totally broken down the game. They can now disassemble any song, add a MIDI code to it, and make any song playable. It's unbelievable, dude.
Yeah.
I need to get into it further, and Yak, I promised I would get into it. I have not had time to dig into it further, but just what I saw alone, it's really impressive.
When will that come to consoles, like 2019 or something, like Guitar Hero 12 maybe?
I don't know.
That's never.
I don't know. I think the fun part of Guitar Hero is still being a Guitar Hero, and I think that what they're doing as far as like making you a Guitar Hero playing guitar fights like against Slash, that's really cool. That maybe adding a game part to it is good.
Yeah,
if
Shu
you just
really
like
that stuff. Shu was talking about that a lot.
I think competition is going to help both of them. And next year's games will be really interesting to see.
Yeah, because Guitar Hero 2, the thing I always say about Guitar Hero 3 is what Guitar Hero 2 should have been. They didn't add jack to it. I'm glad somebody else is there pushing them.
Yeah. Amen.
Last thing, EGM Fan 89 brought up the GameTap Codemasters news and was talking about everything that he's been doing on GameTap, which sparked a very long thread that a lot of people are really into GameTap right now, and sort of hypothesizing about how, if they partnered with, say, Sony, that there could be some interesting things there, particularly with the old stuff. But I didn't realize you can sign up for a trial for $1 and play like unlimited games, and then choose to not sign up. So you get basically a month for $1.
And the stealth side of GameTap is all those games that are commercial supported and you can play for free.
Yep, and Overlord next week, apparently, through GameTap.
Wow,
yeah,
that's fast.
Plus you got preteen Tomb Raider on there. You guys
Voiced by Minnie Driver.
see the commercial for that? Really?
You love her. You love Minnie Driver.
Man,
Yeah, although I didn't.
falling on hard times.
When she was like really skinny in that show with Eddie Izzard, that wasn't.
I thought
so...
you found her very attractive in that.
No, not when
the,
she
the
was.
Riches.
That show is
The
still
Riches.
there.
It is still there.
just started, I think.
No, season 1's over now, right?
Season 1's over. I think it'll be picked up again.
They're bringing it back for a second season.
Yeah, but
despite,
she was
despite
a
its low ratings.
bit heroin sort of.
Oh.
Heroin chic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's it. There's a lot of discussion about the GTA being delayed, but we can tackle that later.
You ready to play the game?
Let's go. Let's start the feud.
I thought I got in trouble for that shit. And you just I cannot fucking believe that. Oh, I'm the boss. I can do whatever the hell I want to.
You know what? I am the boss, Garnet.
God damn. It's good to be king.
It is.
All right,
Shall I
here we
start
go.
the timer?
Yes, sir. Here we go.
Do I start after you send the question?
We start after I do the question.
Okay.
Because that way we don't get stuck in me stumbling over reading. 10 letters ask, as taken from a thread, how do you guys feel about playing a character of the opposite sex, especially in MMOs, since that seems to be the biggest area of concern? I knew something was up with all those female night elf rogues.
I kind of like playing both, actually. I've played both equally.
You like playing both?
Yeah,
both sides.
I mean, like when I play as a female, I don't pretend to actually be a girl. I just play as a female because they look cool.
Right?
That's like the funny thing. Like the reason Nintendo always gives for not having Link have a voice in the Zelda games is because like it's going to separate people from their character. I don't feel any more or less separated from my character in Heavenly Sword being a girl. It's all about like control.
Yeah. But in a game where I can design my own character, I kind of base on whatever looks the coolest.
Heavenly Sword, how cool of an example is that? That girl, she is totally hot. Her raising hell with her swords is awesome, and if you don't think that like appeals to males watching it, you're crazy.
And I this just came up this week because my Monster Hunter Freedom character, his name is Booty, and I think what people worry about is like a perception that when they go out as a girl that they like secretly want to be a girl or like want to be wearing dresses.
You're a virtual transvestite.
Or on PSO, it was actually, I had to say, I don't know if you ever had this experience, but it's kind of bad because when you were a woman character in PSO, guys would come up to you like, "Are you really a girl?"
That happened to me.
Wow.
But I used to play a female PSO character because the girls were actually better. They were better at magic. Like,
yeah.
So I was like,
Out of
be a girl.
force. Yeah.
Was the question specifically about MMOs, or was it just citing MMOs
No, it was just
as
especially.
being...
It was especially
Because it is
MMOs.
very different in MMOs, where it
That's
is
true.
predominantly guys pretending.
Absolutely. I will cop to this right now. Almost every character I have played in World of Warcraft is a female character. And I'll tell you, it's real simple for me. I'd rather look at a chick's ass than a dude's ass.
It's the old explanation why Tomb Raider was so popular, right? Like, finally they put a girl's butt in front of you running around.
I know a lot of guys will play as girls in MMOs because you have a much better chance of getting free stuff.
Yeah.
You know
That's
what? I've
true.
never done that because, like, anytime someone, like, asks me if I'm a real girl or whatever, I just, like, /squelch, boom, gone.
You don't want to cyber?
No.
But I mean,
Negative.
go back to even like the original Phantasy Star. Like, did it make that much of a difference that you were a girl
Well, at
or
the time,
not?
I thought it was cool because at that point there weren't many female protagonists in RPGs.
Right.
It stood out because Alice
Now,
was
if you
good.
want to extend the argument, I think that many character animators and art designers are guys, and I think that they actually put more work into the female character designs than they do into the males.
Right.
Could be.
Speaking of Heavenly Sword, props to the guys for not making her like pneumatic chested and ridiculous.
Oh, yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
If anything, she's not traditionally like sexy. I mean, she's hot, but like her personality
She's very attractive, and it's the
is not.
first video game character I've noticed since maybe the FF10 girls, where they're so well designed that she is just an attractive. She has bad hair, but she's an attractive woman. Her
Come on,
outfits.
she's fucking hot. If you saw her
She is
walking down the
super hot.
street,
Well,
you
but-
would
but
stop
her
and go
person-
like, "Holy
her personality is terrifying. Actually,
I want the Heavenly Sword movie with Mila Jovovich as the character, period.
No.
have you seen her? She's she's ready to drop. She's like
Yeah,
9
Well, after
months
she gets rid of
pregnant.
the kid, she'll be fine.
Resident Evil Extinction, you got we're way off now, but
Yeah.
the Resident Evil Extinction.
Okay, so
looks like
Resident Evil's
shit.
a great example. Guy characters or girl characters?
Yeah, well, you've played both.
Well, the
a lot
girl
of times in the
characters are
different-
easier.
in the different.
Well,
on
okay,
purpose. They
right,
make it
on
easier for
first
the
game,
girls.
absolutely. But which
No, not all
character?
of
If they were all equal, which one would you play?
Jill,
Why?
she's hot.
Okay, right there, Mark.
not Rebecca. I think you'd be a more
Rebecca Chambers,
Rebecca
lame.
man.
I'm glad we're really showing our depth here.
We don't have to have depth. We just have penises at the end of the story.
I think Shane has it. Maybe we finish this one in more than 4 minutes. But in an MMO situation, I look at which one looks cooler, the guy or the girl. And in Monster
the girls
Hunter,
always
was the
look
girls.
cooler.
Well,
They
not always.
Which
Have
what
you
game
played?
do they not look
Have you
cooler?
played the Con?
The what?
It's called the Con. It's called the Con. It's
Well, that shitty PSP brawler.
You brought up the con.
if you haven't seen the female characters in the Con, go check them out. You'll be
Oh,
sorry.
What about the female character, the so-called female character in Uncharted? your quote unquote female sidekick.
The one who looks like Michael Donahoe.
Wait, what?
Yeah. They've changed her a little bit.
They kind of tarted her up a bit, but not enough.
They need a little bit more. Blonde hair and enough.
Oh God.
Oh dear.
Saved
All right.
by the bell.
New Wave asks, with so many big action adventure IPs coming up this fall, Assassin's Creed, Uncharted, Stranglehold, etc., what has the best shot at busting out and becoming the next big franchise? Oh, come on. Somebody jump out there.
I'm tossing up Uncharted or Heavenly Sword. Heavenly Sword is...
Why?
Heavenly Sword because it's very tailor-made to be a franchise. Okay. Like, having played through it, it opens up a whole new realm and asks a lot of questions. It doesn't answer all of them.
Character gets you locked in.
The world's very interesting. The storytelling. Uncharted, I think it's very refreshing that it's very realistic and mundane. The main character's a normal guy. I think he's going to connect with a lot of gamers.
I think the challenge for both of those, though, is that the platform they're on.
This is true.
Not going to get enough purchase.
Yeah, I think they will become... they will at least go to a sequel just out of Sony's will and brute force.
I mean, the funny thing is, before E3, to me, this would have been a no-brainer question. It would have been Assassin's Creed, right? And I don't even think it had that bad of a show at E3, but people are talking about it differently now. It's more of some people think it's really great. Some people had their reservations about it, but before it seemed like, oh, this is a new franchise. It's going to have 20 games. Like, it's going to be the next,
it could be the next Beyond Good and Evil. That's what I'm saying.
Beyond Good and Evil. It's going to be the next Tom Clancy series game. Assassin's Creed is tailor-made to be a ongoing series.
I think Assassin's Creed is a foregone conclusion for sequels, definitely.
What if it flops though?
Flop or not, it's so easily customizable to what era do we drop this into? We can do modern, we can do future, we can do past, we can do current.
I don't think Stranglehold. I mean, there's too many factors involved there. I don't think you can get all those players together. You're not going to get Chow Yun Fat. You're not going to get
that.
John
I would agree with.
I don't think Stranglehold. I think Stranglehold will be very good, but I'm not sure it's a lot.
You know what though? If that sells like 10 million copies, you'll get them together.
That's true.
Like they will just come together. Like that will happen.
If they can't get Chow Yun Fat for a future one, it'll be a different part
Jet
of the
Li
universe
or something.
Yeah,
they'll get
character.
Jackie Chan or something.
Jason
the next
Statham.
time.
That'd be cool.
Jason Statham.
Yeah.
Cool.
Jason Statham, dude. The Transporter movies, fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Really dig those. Okay, so the adjunct to this, or the alternative question was, which of the big signals...
we didn't actually answer that question.
and I have to correct myself. Which of the big sequels, Resident Evil 5, Metroid 3, Halo 3, Grand Theft Auto, which we know is not coming now. Anyway, which of those big sequels have the most to lose?
That are coming out this year?
Yes, that are coming out this year. This fall, the holiday season.
Most to lose? Halo.
Well, Resident Evil's not coming out this...
Halo is the most to lose.
Why?
Because if it doesn't conclude in a satisfactory way, we are not going to hear the end of it.
No. I think Halo 2 didn't end in a satisfactory way, and people loved it. It got all 10s.
But they could pass that off in the middle. Look at what happened with Star Wars. The Empire did not end in a satisfactory way. The actual commercial success versus critical credibility. Jedi destroyed George Lucas's credibility as an ability to craft a story.
The Matrix says hello.
Right, and the Matrix. Matrix Part 3 was hugely successful. If Halo 3 is just a bad, conclusion, then it's a complete twist for Bungie in terms of whether people trust
Seems
them.
really unlikely to me.
No, it's completely...
That the story might be crap, really?
Or that people would actually care that much. I don't know.
I mean, I would say it has the most to lose only because it's the highest up, so it has the farthest
and they've built
to fall,
it up so much. It was a Peter Moore Dreamcast launch, biggest thing ever in the history of the universe. Halo 3 will be the biggest piece of entertainment this year, or whatever the hell it was that he said.
But what if it
isn't?
But how could it not be? Even
because
just on the first day,
there aren't 10 million Xbox 360s in the US yet.
Well, okay, but there might be that day.
Being the biggest thing ever is predicated on there being something to play it on that there are a lot of.
But if we assume that every person
what if they want to win it? What if they want to
win it? Fair play to them, and they may well do, but they still have the most to lose on the creative side. If they deliver a shitty, the experience is going to be fine. But the people that are really into Halo, the franchise, if they don't deliver on the story, then it's a massive credibility crush on Bungie and Microsoft.
Let me throw a curveball. Ratchet and Clank. Because if Ratchet and Clank flops, it's done. It's over.
Yeah, but here's the thing: Ratchet and Clank, I don't know if I agree. Because Ratchet and
Clank,
if
you think that if Ratchet and Clank fails this time out, that there would be another one?
So are we talking about commercially, or are we talking about the product? Because with Halo, Halo is not going to flop commercially.
The question was, which has the most to lose? And I think Ratchet and Clank has the most.
I think Ratchet and Clank has very little to lose. It's playing it very safe. The last game was a weird departure. This is
that's the whole
return
point.
to form.
Yeah, but the future of the IP isn't riding on the first Ratchet and Clank PS3 game because, again, there's not enough PS3s for it to make a difference.
So if Ratchet and Clank on PS3 fails, there is still hope for the future.
There'll be another one.
I think the sequel that has the most to lose this fall is PGR4 because really, who needs it?
I think it's already failed. Next.
Well, and I was going to say Halo 3, there hasn't been a bad one yet, so they kind of have the most to lose.
We went a little over.
Yeah.
All right, Phoenix Drummer, this one is off the clock because Phoenix Drummer asked us just some quick questions for each member. I'm going to start with you, John, and then we'll go around the horn. So here we go. John, what do you want out of the 3 consoles going forward?
The 3 consoles?
Yes. Wii?
On Wii, I think more IP that we know, you know. So
PS3.
PS3. I think we need a game that we really identify with the platform.
360.
For me, Mass Effect.
What console are you playing most frequently?
Until recently, it was 360, but now it's PS3.
Which console do you see yourself playing the most in the future or the distant future? Well, let's choose the future. Which one do you see playing most in the future?
I think just because of my family situation, Wii.
Favorite game underhyped but freaking awesome.
It's out?
It's out or coming?
Just whatever comes to your mind. Freaking awesome game that's underhyped.
Oh, that's hard.
That's hard.
It's hard to do like on the. Let's go around and then we'll all do that one last.
Okay, most hated game, overhyped, and friggin' crap.
Wow, it's hard too.
Yeah, that's.
Oh my God, I've kicked their ass.
I gotta start writing these down.
Phoenix Drummer wins the award for kicking the one-up yours crap out of us.
Okay, a game other people think is great that you hate.
All right, so how about this one? This one you'll know right off the bat. What will you be playing in the one-up yours rock band? Guitar.
Yeah.
Shane, here we go with you.
All right.
What do you want out of the 3 consoles? We'll start at the same place. Wii.
Third-party games that aren't shit.
PS3.
More games. 6-axis with Rumble. More systems in stores in hands of consumers.
360.
Unique exclusives. Better games from Japan. Free Xbox Live.
What console are you playing the most?
DS. That count? No.
What do you? Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely. What console do you see yourself playing the most in the future?
You really playing the DS the most?
I play like every day.
What? Hold on. What do you play every day?
Puzzle League.
Oh,
Jesus Christ!
Yeah.
Best game ever.
He is, dude. He is a puzzle. Are you good at Puzzle League, Mark?
No, I suck.
Destroy you all. What system do I see myself playing most in the future?
Yes.
PS3.
Favorite game underhyped but freaking awesome.
Planet Puzzle League.
Okay. Most hated game overhyped and friggin' crap.
Killer 7. Actually, I gave it a 6.5, which I reclaimed for good, but I famously...
Killer 7 count as overhyped?
I don't know. Overhyped.
In some circles.
That game just is crap.
No, it counts as over.
It's interesting crap, I'll give you that, but it's crap.
Amongst journalists, I think it counts as overhyped because we all bought into the art side of it, right?
That's a good one.
And
I still don't have an answer for that.
And you could probably apply all that same thinking to No More Heroes.
What will you be playing in the one-up yours rock band?
Cowbell. Or guitar.
Nice. Tambourine, maybe.
All right, I'll do myself next. What do I want out of the 3 consoles going forward? I want something that takes it to the next generation with the controls and actually makes us good games with motion controlling and actually takes advantage of those controls. PS3 is really tough. Something that
Is it?
Yeah,
I think it's easy.
Really?
Why is it tough?
I came up with that rule.
I think for me, PS3 would be something that sets it apart and tells me why I need a PS3 over a 360 or a 360 over a PS3.
I can tell you those things right now.
What?
Sony's first-party games.
Like?
Okay.
Do you start naming all of Sony's first-party games?
Name me a game that you can imagine being done on 360.
Like the same type of game or the exact same game?
The exact same game.
Gran Turismo 5.
Really?
God of War 3. These games are owned by Sony.
No. Not because of like legal reasons, but because of like
I haven't seen a game that looks as good as Gran
reasons.
Turismo 5 on Xbox 360.
And then on 360, I will side with you, my dear man, and say free live. Period. Get over it. Get on it.
You don't
do
even
it now.
care about Gran Turismo. What do you care about Gran Turismo? You don't even play driving games.
I own every single Gran Turismo.
Which console do I see myself playing which console am I playing the most frequently? I'm playing my 360 the most frequently. As far as which console do I see myself playing the most in the near and distant future, I'm going to keep playing my 360 all the time, and I can tell you it's very simple. We saw Madden on PS3 this week. Oh dear.
And you're playing a lot of Madden.
I will be playing a lot of Madden in the next couple of 3 or 4 or 5 weeks. Yeah. And then there's lots of other 360 games I'll be playing, but especially
BioShock.
absolutely unbelievable. And several games, and I'm going to be playing my 360, so that's easy. Favorite game, underhyped but freaking awesome. I'm going to take a cop-out and go Overlord because I think Overlord flew under a lot of people's radar.
Cop-out?
Yeah, but it is because I've already talked about it. It is because I've already
Mark's
talked about it.
Mark's eyes rolling back into his head.
Come on.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yes.
Go play the...
Dude, we're going to...
I can lend you...
That game, come on. Only because it came out of nowhere. Like, you played Pikmin, right? Have you played Pikmin?
Yeah, Garnet,
yes, this is 10 times more fun
than
than
lend
Pikmin.
you my copy of Pikmin 2 and my copy of The Horde starring Kirk Cameron. It's the same damn thing.
You're wrong. I'm mad, so I'm not going to say anything.
I'm not saying that it's a bad game, but I am saying
You're
that...
saying it's a 6.0, right?
I think I might have my overhyped and doesn't deserve it
game.
I think I might have it.
You suck.
There's a lot of people playing it. Like the Overlord Super Guide on My Cheats is doing really well.
A lot of people are playing Tenchu Z.
A lot of people need a game right now, and I understand. I feel the pain.
That is not why you play Overload. Overload is a blast because it is fun, it is lighthearted, and you have a good time playing it.
I think it's
great.
The
controls don't fight you. It's easy to get into.
I
it has
totally
depth.
disagree with that. The controls I have big time problems with.
Oh my god, that right stick! I didn't know I had to use my right thumb.
I want to actually take my guys who are impervious to flame and move them over the hot, cold, the fucking flaming hot flames. No, wait. Oh, these guys. Oh shit. Oh fuck. Like Pikmin.
Dude, that is so
Pikmin
easy
did it
to
better
do.
2 years ago.
That is so easy
Mark,
to do.
the little demons drink beer and it's funny.
It is funny, and they do pee on things. I understand. That's great. It doesn't happen in every game, and I think it is good that a game has a sense of humor. It's not a terrible game by any means.
Do you want to be back for 4-minute warning again?
The graphics are good, but we played Pikmin 2 like 2 years ago. It did it better. Like I just wanted better interface. I wanted a map. I wanted a lot of different
The map argument is weak. The map argument is weak.
I actually think the Pikmin argument is pretty weak because how many people played Pikmin?
I did, and it was really good, and I liked Pikmin.
Over 1 million.
Really?
A lot more than you're playing Overlord, actually.
And I have to tell you, actually, I will actually give you the Pikmin.
That was done in the most smug way I've ever seen you say anything.
The reason I bring up Pikmin is not that the audience has played it, that I would hope the developers would play it, and that it would at least be that good in terms of interface, separating your troops, doing managing them, doing
I will
things.
give you the Pikmin argument because this is fully Pikmin derivative.
Garnet, in the last 2 weeks, you've talked more about Overlord than anybody really should.
Dude, it's a blast. You should go get this game. It is fun. It is so fun to play.
It is fun, but I don't think it's...
That's all that matters.
The attention that it's getting.
We should move on.
It needs to be tempered. Yeah,
all right,
go ahead.
favorite game, underhyped but freaking awesome? I don't know. Most hated game, overhyped and freaking crap? I don't know. What will I be playing in One Up Yours Rock Band? I'll be playing guitar.
I don't know there.
I have
That's
to think
all right.
about
We'll
it. We'll come back to the boards or something and do them. Mark, you're up.
Yep.
What do you want on 3 consoles going forward? Wii.
All right, Wii. I want a game that actually could only be done on Wii, that uses 24 Connect, that uses online, that uses the Wii remote. That's just not fucking Mario 64 over again. That's not Metroid Prime again. That is a true, not Smash Brothers again. A truly original. Couldn't be done on any other system.
PS3.
PS3, I want the kick-ass game that makes me totally, completely fall in love with the system, and online just to have a little bit, it's almost there now, but a little bit more of the bells and whistles and the integration, a better PSN store.
360.
360, I want more games. I want a few of the little online things. 360 is doing a lot of stuff online that more stuff than I've even thought that I wanted, but I want the next thing of Xbox Live, I guess.
What console are you playing?
Free would be great. Free is a good thing to ask for.
What console are you playing most frequently?
Actually, right now it's pretty evenly split between PS3 and 360, almost exactly.
In the future,
it's I can't even say. It's going to be between those two this fall. There's a lot of question marks on the PS3. I think there's a lot of things that look like Halo and Mass Effect that I know there's going to be on 360.
You're going to be playing a lot of Metroid and a lot of Mario and a lot of Smash Brothers?
Not as much as I'm going to be playing. Not Smash Brothers. I'm not a Smash Brothers guy.
We play Wii in very localized blasts.
Right.
When an interesting game comes, you play it for a week.
I will absolutely play the shit out of Metroid when it comes out. I'll absolutely play the shit out of Mario Galaxy when it comes out. But as much as just Halo 3 multiplayer alone, probably not. And PS3 has some question marks that could be a lot of them, and more that could be as much. Probably gonna edge out on 360 just because of the raw hours on Halo 3.
Underhyped but freaking awesome.
Fuck.
I'll tell you that.
Give me a second.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to take underhyped but frickin' awesome and overhyped but frickin' crap, roll them into a thread, and we will respond to it on the message board.
Let me say overhyped but freaking crap. Pretty much every Sonic game since the first one. Every Sonic since the first one.
You're wounding me directly.
Only now are people realizing like that the game has been crap and creatively bankrupt for years.
It's been in a downward spiral since Sonic Adventure.
They've not had the play mechanics of Mario 3 since fucking Sonic 1.
I'd say he hit it. I'd say he actually hit it. And do you want to volunteer what you'll be playing in Rock Band?
Guitar. I'll play bass if need be.
Excellent. Lawnmower ZA asks this question. Will Microsoft ever get it right in Japan, or are Sony and Nintendo just far too strong there? And if so, what do you guys think it would take?
We don't need 4 minutes on this.
No, we don't need 30 seconds.
No. I think it would really damage them to pull out entirely, but I think that's eventually where it's headed. And it doesn't look good.
No. What it would take is what Microsoft won't do, which is bringing in an absolutely Japanese ownership structure. And
they would have to spend so much money to try to make a little bit of money that it wouldn't be worth it.
But you know what? Here's a weird thing. Like, Japan has always mattered historically because unless your system sold there, you weren't getting the games. But the weird thing about the 360, and is it, payola? Is it money hats? What is it? And there's a couple games left that are not this way, but like with Capcom and with increasingly with other companies, and they're doing stuff with Mistwalker, it's not mattering so much. If you're an American gamer, you're starting to get some Japanese RPGs. You're starting to get...
The industry's global now, and there's the markets that are emerging, like India. I mean, who knows what's going to be big in India or Russia or China, and Japan isn't the... It may have been the cradle of a lot of creativity, but it's not the heart of the commercial part of the industry anymore.
And Microsoft would have been far better off putting all the effort and attention it's put into Japan into Europe.
Yes, I agree.
Absolutely.
I don't agree.
You don't agree?
Really? Why do you not agree?
Because look what it's gotten out of what attention it's put into Japan, like Dead Rising and Lost Planet. Like those games have really. The difference is, I think Japan is now trying to make Western games, so it no longer really matters. Like. It's no longer Japan is making.
You just made my argument.
The games that are just popular in Japan.
No, but I think maybe his argument is that if Microsoft hadn't have exerted the effort on trying to win over like the Mistwalker guys and Itagaki and those guys, that very thing wouldn't have happened.
But I think you're implying that it's been worth it, and I don't think it has. I don't think even Dead Rising's success wasn't worth the amount of money Microsoft spent to get there.
Yeah, but was it worth it to me, Mr. likes to play video games, lives in America?
Mr. likes Dead Rising.
It was worth it.
You might have got Dead Rising on PS2 instead. It might not have been as good, But that doesn't mean Dead Rising wouldn't have existed.
Well, but we don't know that. It might not have.
Room Temperature asks, what's your take on reviews factoring price in the final score, or maybe just the review itself?
I think we kind of talked about
Which we kind of talked about. That's why I wanted to just bring it back to you guys here. What do you think? Shane?
Traditionally, I do take price as a factor, because as somebody who used to buy games, and I remember spending $99 for Phantasy Star 4 or spending $19.99 for some other game.
Used to buy games. I mean, I
still buy games, and I do factor price in.
I think. As long as it's consistent, that's the key,
right?
And that you have to be consistent, and there needs to be some consistency from the publishers on their pricing policies as well, because you can't say that like Warhawk is going to, depending on what price it ends up being as a download, and then. What we don't want to see is then the guessing game every time there's a split like this, is that all these other games that are going to be download and retail, well, this one has a headset and it's $59.99 at retail, but what does that mean it's going to be as a download? $20, $30, $40? What I hope is that Warhawk, for better or worse, sets the line, and that they try and stick to it. I mean, there's a lot of pressures that aren't really being talked about as well, like the fact that retail is exerting a lot of pressure on price, and that the physical distributed thing is, if they get fucked on the download price being too cheap, retail is going to exert pressure where it matters, and that's on for Sony. It's on hardware.
Although ultimately, direct sales like that is an attempt to take retail out of the equation, and I think that's where it's going.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
which is where the fight is coming from, because it's fear of the inevitable.
Right. Well, and it's also an attempt to destroy the used games business, which game makers have been trying to do for 20 years.
Yeah. Right. And I don't know that there's going to be some formula or price structure that's going to come out, because I almost feel like it might be kind of like whether or not you get multiplayer in a game. It's kind of like a case-by-case basis. Sometimes a certain type of game, you kind of expect it, you know what I mean? But another type of game, you're kind of okay with only getting a single-player game. I mean, Metal Gear, that's something people are talking about right now.
You've written hundreds of reviews, literally, right?
Yeah.
What factors into a Mark McDonald review?
Besides, I mean, price definitely does. Yeah.
Why?
Because
but you're probably not mindful of it very often. It's only when there's a discrepancy.
Right. Yeah, most games are the same price.
If it's a standard kind of price, if something leaps out at you, if something is online only, or is a GBA game, is a handheld game rather than a full console game, like all these things. It's not me in particular. I mean, I like to think that's just something that you share with people in general. You take like what you think is going to be the audience expectation for what you get for your money. It's the same thing with game length, right? Like,
game length is the perfect tie into this.
If it's within the certain range, you don't mention it one way or the other. If it's very short or very long, it kind of becomes a factor, because it's like, okay, well, you are going to be playing this game for 100 hours, and it's really great the entire time through.
And
so
how many reviews have you read over the years where part of the conclusion is that it's probably worth renting but not buying?
Right.
That's a different way of expressing the value proposition of video games.
It's like, well said.
It's not worth dropping the $60 on, but for your $9 a month GameFly, it's worth this being one of them.
And when I think the other question is, when people are reading reviews, and I think this is why listeners are giving us this question, is how much are you filtering what we're writing into whatever perspective you have of we're
not declaring the law from the mountaintop.
Exactly.
We're just telling you that, in our opinion, that $60 is a bit much for this.
Dude, me and my buddy Kynan Pearson used to sit down and talk about, like, if we ever got to be talking about games, we'd do like this whole thing called like Real Gamer, because the whole idea would just be, being a real gamer, what do you think about this? And I feel like EGM, all the Ziff properties, GFW, 1UP, are very good at, when we review a game, just having that person's opinion laid out there. Here's what I think, and that's what that is. I'm going to take it to the news. What do you think, John?
I think that's good.
I got to get back to work.
Yeah, you got to finish that magazine.
Boo.
Dude, we'll miss you, because we have all kinds of stuff. Do you want to give us a thought on Grand Theft Auto going to next year, possibly?
Well, there's a lot going on here. And I don't know if we'll ever really know why. If it was because the PS3 version is really far behind, because I'd heard that a few months ago a team was sent to save the PS3 version.
Sony Commandos.
Or is because they couldn't get it to run on 360 at a decent frame rate without using the hard drive.
I think there's another element that people are talking about, and that is that the expectations of a Grand Theft Auto game are so high that the number of copies that they need to sell to meet the budgetary requirements they've made for this game, that, as we've brought up a lot today, there just aren't enough 360s and PS3s to meet that in the current
regardless,
scenario.
There's going to be a lot more next June when this game comes out. There'll be a lot more systems.
Exactly. Are you saying it's a tactical stall?
Well, I think they've looked at where the game is, and they've looked at the way the market is right now. And right now, you've got to bet an awful lot on how many PS3s and 360s they're going to sell. If they're going to, well, I mean, it was something like, we heard it was between 6 and 8 million units by the end of 2008 or something they were predicting to sell across the two platforms. Right now, that's a pretty fucking huge proportion of the audience.
Yeah.
We'll have quotes, we'll have numbers, all that and more when we come back in just a minute.
Oh, wait. My other favorite theory is that it's delayed because of the Wii version. That's hilarious.
Yeah. There you have it. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Calling all aspiring DJs and sneakerheads. You think you got the skills? Then check out YarisVsYaris.com for the Yaris vs. Yaris live event series. Like this podcast, this event is brought to you by Toyota.
All right, hope you guys all enjoyed the 4-minute warning. It was excellent. We have Let Shane Go. Nick has come back to join us again. You sure you're ready for news?
I am. I'm no Brian Antihar, but...
Buckle the fuck up.
Buckle the fuck up. Get ready, because here we go. We're going to start right off with a raid. That's right. The feds have been out on Operation Tangled Web.
Comes up with these bullshit names for these operations.
It's actually part of the Alias cast-off episodes that they didn't film. This was one of them.
Operation Rolling Thunder.
So in 16 states and 32 federal search warrants, they have busted down the doors on the mod scene. Okay, do you guys have opinions? Because I got all kinds of beautiful quotes here, but I just want to know your first response.
Scene?
They went
Wii mod scene, right?
No, it did not specify Wii, did it?
Because the only PR that I saw about it was something sent from Nintendo, which you get every once in a while, which is, hey, we're fully supportive. This is great. They busted these mod chip guys. Which it's great because I'm not at all interested in getting, my Wii modded so that I can play preview and review games because we get plenty of that hardware from Nintendo, so that's not a problem. So I'm glad. Bust the shit out of them.
I think the presumption has been that this has been highly driven by PS2 scene, especially because the PS2 mod scene has been very, very, very active.
Well, yeah, the whole point of it is that these things don't require any of the encryption on the discs in order to run, so you can just copy the code without copying the proprietary security stuff, right?
We talked about the Guitar Hero scene earlier. Without the modded PlayStation 2 out there in easy accessibility, there would be no Guitar Hero 2 mod scene.
God, what a world that would be.
Hey, actually, it would be a bummer, dude. Those guys have made some great songs. So here we have Julie L. Myers, the Assistant Secretary of Homeland Security.
Oh, God, I'm glad they're working on this.
I know. This is what Homeland Security is working on. Homeland Security is involved in shutting down game piracy. They said illicit devices like the ones targeted today are created with one purpose in mind, and that is subverting copyright protections. Okay, so I think the problem most people have with this is not that there are bad people doing piracy. It's the assumption that everybody who buys a modded system is out there to be a bad guy, right?
Well, to be honest, and I was joking earlier about the Wii thing because it is a pain in the ass to get Wii debugs, but for legitimate reasons. But in all honesty, 99% of people who want these things really are out them for
just to go back,
illegitimate reasons.
By your argument, why are they?
Import.
Well, okay. PS3 that no longer stands. Like
360 doesn't.
But in PS2, it stood in great degree.
No, that's true, and that is a legitimate thing. And I say that as somebody who did get systems modded for the reasons of playing imports. Now we just have the import systems around, but
right.
You're right. That's true, but still, it probably is something along the lines of like 99% of people that are doing these things are in it for bad reasons.
Well, how about this? According to the ESA, modified hardware and the resultant sales of counterfeit and pirated games incurred around $3 billion worth of lost revenue for U.S.-based businesses last year.
Yeah.
Do you really buy that? $3 billion?
No, these numbers are impossible to gauge, but
it's hyperbole.
It's a lot of money, though. I will agree it's a lot of money. Yeah, these busts have to happen. Good for them. La la la. Like, still, like, I want enough systems to.
$3 billion sounds like a lot, but I'm sure hundreds of millions. Where's the line between what's acceptable?
The thing is, a lot of people will pirate games. Like, not to make excuses for them, a lot of people will pirate games that they would never buy and play.
Right.
Otherwise, granted, that's true. They probably don't really factor that into their equations. But yes, piracy is a problem. Yes, it does lead to, if you think about it, higher game prices. It's a bad thing. We don't want it. We don't like it. It's bad.
None of us is going to argue that piracy is not bad. Obviously, we are video game journalists. We all have friends working in the business.
Right.
We all are supporters of the business.
So what are you arguing for? To not have territory lockouts?
I'm still not sure what we're really talking about here, Garnet, apart from the fact that you're standing up and it's making me uncomfortable.
We're talking about the fact that the ESA arguing that there's $3 billion worth of loss is absurd.
Is that in piracy or in modding specifically?
Well, so here's how they get to that. They get to that number by saying that all those games that people pirated are games they would have otherwise bought at retail.
Pirated through.
Well, that is
because
probably the part of the flaw. To Mark's point, is that a lot of it is that pirates are also hoarders,
right?
And that once they get into that scene, these people they have collections of stuff that they never in a million years would have even considered buying or borrowing or anything. It ends up being, I have every PS2 game ever.
The twisted, weird argument that people use with music is maybe I hear a song that I wouldn't have otherwise bought and I like it and I end up buying the album. I don't think that applies so much with games, especially with hardcore pirates, but yeah, you could make there's like a gray area. Everything's a fucking gray area.
Because the independent scene in games is like on PCs, like shareware stuff like that. There isn't really an independent game scene in like console gaming, so it's not like music where you're going to discover some game you would have never heard of just by pirating it. Unless you're talking like the obscure NES classics, it's not going to happen on PS2.
Take-Two, in providing their financial update, where they did actually revise their revenue and earnings guidance for fiscal 2007, uncorked the genie in the bottle, which is Grand Theft Auto 4, announcing that will not be available this holiday season.
Yeah, they better revise the forecast.
Well,
based on that. And something I was going to say earlier when we asked Shane about it, and I'll just say it now, like, something else, another possibility people should factor in, and I'm not saying this is because of what I saw of the game, and I'm not saying it's not, but maybe the simplest explanation is the best, and the game just wasn't ready. That's another possibility, right?
It is entirely possible.
It's entirely possible. I mean, let's face it.
We did hear that this call was made like the day of the announcement.
Right.
Yes, actually, what John's speaking to is that ultimately, according to the reports that Patrick brought in, was that Take-Two did make the final call, and that they literally played a perfect, just brought off the dev kit today build to make that call today to say, you know what, it's not going to make it. We need to hold this game.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a weird thing and a big deal, and I think it's worth getting all the attention that's getting, because they did announce a date, at E3 a year ago, and
which they've done for everyone since 3. They've always
but
been
they've
one
hit
of the
it,
and they've hit it. They've missed by
before.
a week in the past, but they've never missed by 2 quarters in the past.
Which I had, I had absolute faith. I never really thought of this happening. Like,
the interesting reaction to this from the boards is, from a lot of people, it was relief. Because it's like,
really,
it's one less $60 game that I feel obliged to buy this year.
Well, and what did I aim to you? My aim to John was when we first saw this breaking was like, you know what? That's great, because it opens the door for Game of the Year to all the other games.
I also think it opens the door to some games that would have been brushed, that are still stupidly being released in November that really shouldn't.
This was a question that we didn't even get to.
They have a chance to shine.
By the way, a lot of folks asked this question in the 4-minute warning thread. What about all the AAA titles piling into holiday season this year? This is one moving out. It's a good thing.
The same thing happens every single goddamn year, too. Like Metal Gear, a bunch of other games right around this time always slip from Q4, and it's not the worst thing in the world. What does end up happening, though, is a lot of these games slip from Q4 and end up not coming until fall of next year.
Right.
And
because
nobody just says that. They always just say, oh, no, it's not happening now. Maybe it'll happen winter. And then, like, finally it ends up coming out fall of next year.
I'm fairly certain that this is what's going to happen with GTA.
This fall of next year?
Yeah.
One interesting thing just to add.
Well, hold on.
Sorry, go ahead.
Let me. I'll come back to you. Why do you think that?
Because the pressure's off on fiscal 07 now, and the pressure's on fiscal 08. So unless they're having trouble quarter to quarter, which, as long as they can churn through the other stuff.
Has a GTA ever come out not in the fall season?
So if they're finished and have it polished where they want, do you think that they would take that time to add more content to it?
No, I think if they know they've got the breathing room and they can push it even further, they will.
Without doing anything, they'll just
I don't think it's a matter of, hey, today we finished, but yeah, we're going to wait a while. I don't think it doesn't work like that. It's like, it's like, okay, guys, end of Q2, everyone's saying, well, that means April. End of Q2 doesn't mean April. It means July, August. It means that you're halfway through the year.
Well, people are predicating that off the fact that the fiscal year for them ends October 31st, which means first quarter is November, December, January, and second quarter for them then is February, March, April.
Mm-hmm.
So I did just read in the time that I was upstairs between your guys' segments that Microsoft apparently, suspending the effect of the extra content for 360 is still slated for the same time early next year. So that actually might, obviously,
okay,
the game needs to come out
it's going to
first.
launch when the game comes out? That doesn't make any sense, though.
Yeah.
That does not make any sense.
Oh, I would almost argue with you that it does, because let me tell you what, I have a blog post that's been floating around my head that I'm about to make, but I am so fed up with DLC not meeting expectations. What the fuck is with Forza 2 coming out with DLC finally 2 months later and having it be 3 shitty Nissan cars that are sponsored?
It's a Nissan Sentra.
Wait. You're coming out of left field with this.
No, because we're talking about DLC.
What does this have to do with But coming out with the DLC the day the game comes out doesn't make any sense.
And it's a lot more relevant for 360 then, and then all the money that Microsoft paid apparently to get that exclusive, that suddenly is a huge exclusive if you can walk into a store and there's like Grand Theft Auto Complete.
Yeah, and the can of worms we're opening is this. How much of DLC should have been included in the disc in the first place? Like, if you buy the game, shouldn't you be expecting that you got the full, complete experience? So if they're giving you more in the 360 version vis-a-vis DLC, isn't that basically fucking you?
Well, that is the perception, and why I think they will never do that the day that it comes out. Like, if this was finished
what if it comes out
and done, why am I not getting this on the disc then when I buy the
Right,
thing?
and we used to get pissed off at Ubi and other companies who would have stuff on the disc that wasn't really, that their DLC was just basically unlocking shit that was on the disc already.
Yeah, and look, I think that stuff's all crap. Like, you just need to separate, like, what are you getting on the disc? Are you getting enough experience? Do you really feel like they are holding back multiplayer levels to get them later? If you don't, it shouldn't matter, like, the time, the distance, and whatever. It, like, really matters what you get on the disc. Did you get your value for it? And then the DLC should be, like, a separate issue. But I do not ever see them coming out with the game and that day the downloadable content being available.
What if it's, it'd
be a big deal.
Maybe it's ridiculous, but what if it's on the disc? What if it's like 360 version, little sticker, extra chapter?
Now you're talking crazy talk.
Did you see, I know you love these quotes, did you see Sam Hauser's quote?
No.
I know you love the top men, right?
Yeah.
He says, the top engineers from Sony and Microsoft are working closely with the team in Edinburgh right now, helping us to fully leverage the power of both platforms. As always, our goal is to surpass even the wildest expectations of the game's fans and to create the ultimate high-definition video game experience.
Top men working on it.
Top men are working on it.
Top men.
You're in good shape.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, so anybody else have anything to add about GTA 4?
No, I think we're glad I can play Half-Life.
I will say this has far-reaching effects beyond just GTA. Like, for people of both platforms that have exclusive titles or just titles coming out this fall that think, or even early next year, that think, GTA is going to come out. That's going to fucking blow the base up. They're not happy about it.
I got to think Microsoft and Sony are pissed because they were relying on this to sell hardware.
They were both, yes, very much
right.
so.
And now it's not there, and what's going to take its place? I mean, Microsoft has Halo, but is anyone really going to argue that Heavenly Sword and Uncharted and Ratchet are going to sell PS3s? They're not.
Well, what if you have, for even the third parties, what if you have a game coming out in December and you were expecting the install base to almost double or, because of GTA? Like, it's not good news
There's
for
a lot of people
anybody.
Changing their expectations of this holiday right now.
Right. A lot of forecasts being revised, so to speak.
So just because it was all in there, a couple of other items out of their 2008 lineup that I thought I might hit on. Bully Scholarship Edition. Anybody interested in that for 360 and Wii?
360 version?
And Wii.
I haven't played it, so I'm glad I waited.
Me too. I played a bit of it early on, but I'm looking forward to sitting down.
And if I understand correctly, that's going to be out before Christmas.
Really?
That's what I was reading on the message boards. Message board fodder being what it is, but that's what I was reading on the message boards. How about Midnight Club Los Angeles? John, you were excited about that.
I like Midnight Club.
I like that too.
I've always been a fan.
What do you guys think the PS3 exclusive Rockstar game?
Is it L.A. Noire that they were?
Well, they said
it was not
said it was not L.A. Noire. So actually, I'll skip ahead here a bit. But
does that imply that that's not PS3 exclusive, or just that the one everyone's talking about is not that?
So to bring everybody up to speed on what Nick's talking about here is Rockstar has a franchise that's coming exclusively to the PS3. We know this from the official Sony blog where Phil Harrison referred to it. He says everyone knows. Anyway, basically he goes on to say that Power of Cell and Power of Blue are going to do an official thing, but it's not L.A. Noire.
But is L.A. Noire pretty exclusive?
Yes, that's okay. Actually in the financials it says L.A. Noire is exclusive.
So
also.
what could they bring back? Red Dead, Smuggler's Run.
I would love the next gen Smuggler's Run.
Really?
Oh my god, I would love that.
It could be Red Dead. Red Dead is
we've
a pretty good theory.
We've heard there was a new Red Dead.
The only place they showed that, they showed that was at that very first E3, PS3, like smorgasbord where they showed that bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Do you think it would be a gamble enough that they would do something that was just new?
Yeah, it could be.
I think that would be more interesting. If you're going to roll the dice, let's roll the dice all the way. Let's not just bring back Red Dead or Smuggler's Run.
Yeah, but if you're Sony, like Red Dead did surprisingly well, so that wouldn't be that bad of a.
And Smugglers was one of the first third-party games on PS2, so there's some legacy with the platform.
Good point. So also coming out in 2008 from 2K is a console version of Sid Meier's Civilization on 360, PS2, DS and you may yawn.
Sorry,
Dude, Civ is
jet lag. Sorry.
But do you really want to play Civ with a controller?
I don't know. The PS2 version was popular.
Yeah.
Surprisingly,
there's much more of a chance I'll play it now because I don't really play PC games. But that is kind of one of the games I wish I did play.
I'd play a
PC games
DS
for,
variant.
So there is a DS variant coming.
I'll play that then.
DS, Wii, PS2, and 360.
Play the
No
shit
mention
out
of
of that.
PS3.
Sold.
Also, Top Spin 3 for both the PS3 and 360.
Great. Did anyone play Top Spin? I played Top Spin. Hated it.
Really?
Yeah.
Why'd you hate it?
Too fucking hard.
Wow. I haven't heard of people hating it. I heard of people being indifferent towards it, but
I'm of extreme emotions today. Maybe it's this piece of granola working its way into
the
my
granola talking.
You know, I don't know if
Speaking.
granola will be one of the ways to kill people, but I know there'll be some freaky ways to kill people in Manhunt 2, and that's the only other game we haven't mentioned, which is
But
also...
haven't we talked about Manhunt to death over the weeks?
We have, but it's also on the delay list.
Yeah.
Oh, no shit.
What's going on? What's going on with Manhunt? They're peeling the thing
Only in Europe.
in UK.
The response from and I have his name here as Zynick, who I suppose is he's Strauss Zynick, who's the chairman of Take-Two. Here's his brief comment from the Financial Call today. It's because obviously
Do the accent. Keep the accent. What? You lose the accent all of a sudden?
I don't think.
All right.
it's
Go
because obviously we don't have the M rating yet.
Yeah.
Does this put to bed finally the conspiracy theories that
I have a theory about Manhunt 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's this generation's thrill kill.
Oh.
In that it's not
Never
going to
gonna
come
come out.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I think that's coming out.
And there'll be gold discs of it floating around on the internet, and we'll all play it. But
Yeah.
It's got too much attention
On
to
those
not
modded
come
things
out.
that everyone gets busted for.
So it'll suck Harley then?
But Thrill Kill didn't really get attention until it was canned. The Manhunt has too much attention now. Not
Thrill
to come
Kill had
out.
attention before it was
Thrill
done.
Kill was a fucking blast before it.
We
Aw,
wrote.
come on.
We wrote a ton about Thrill Kill and EGM for God's sake.
But it didn't have that. It did not have the attention and legacy.
When
that it
Thrill Kill
had.
came out, Mark, the internet barely existed.
Well, it was in its infancy. That's true. But Manhunt, it has
was all
it has a
soup
previous
cans and-
game that came out that sold well enough to sell. The game is done.
that is a good point. That's a big difference.
Thrill Kill was done.
So you think Rockstar won't?
But Thrill
Back
Kill didn't have a
down?
predecessor.
If they can't tone it down enough, or it costs too much, or whatever,
Right.
it could just end up.
So who's going to
Gone.
be the governing body that will make this call? Will BAFTA be still containing the lead? Will they be the guys who make the call?
It's irrelevant here. BAFTA passes it. There's pressure on the ESRB, obviously, but
It seems
ESRB
like
is
they
not gonna
really
buckle
kicked
on
off
it.
the argument.
yeah. Did you read the? Well, we talked about this. How they articulated it is very sort of the guy that wrote the description of Manhunt for the BBFC. Was clearly very offended by it.
Okay, because
I mean, it was like the language was like, it was essentially this is reprehensible. It was
Right.
like it was very. It
you have
wasn't.
offended my
It
sensibilities.
wasn't just an objective list of here are the things that are a bit dodgy about this game. It was like this is callous and disgraceful and reprehensible and total disregard for human life. And it was very like it was there was moral grounds for objecting to it. I think there is every chance that Rockstar and Take-Two may lose the Manhunt argument outright.
Wow.
That's very interesting. People have thought that we were wrong about stuff like this before. And what happened to them? Oh, by the way, they were wrong because David Jaffe is at a new studio and he has left Sony. And by the way, we were right. Fuck you very much.
That was the most awkward, we were right, you were wrong speech anyway. And the people who said that we were wrong, but they were wrong. That's how it turned out that they were wrong.
Oh,
That's true.
fuck you.
A lot of people, Patrick Klepek, One Up News in particular,
Completely
took
vindicated.
a lot of shit, and we all just kind of sat there and were like, all right, yeah, go ahead. Make those little animated GIFs, till your heart's content. We'll see what happens. We knew this was coming.
Now, what do you think about what he's doing? I was somewhat surprised that the very first thing they're going to do is Twisted Metal because it does seem a little bit. I mean, Jaffe's been doing some cool stuff lately, and revisiting the Twisted Metal. I'm not really so
what,
sure I'm
though?
excited
Okay,
about that.
Black was awesome.
As long as
on PlayStation 2 again.
60 frames.
how I see
60
it.
frames.
Look.
so it's Twisted Metal on PS2.
Yes.
It's
Gonna
basic-
sell gajillions.
right. So as long as, and I'm hoping that this is their philosophy. Like a lot of directors, a lot of actors have this philosophy. You do kind of one for them and then one for yourself. One for them and one for yourself. So you make money. You stay in the black. No
I don't know where
pun
Patrick
intended,
pulled it from, but he
Metal,
actually says this is an upgraded port of the unreleased Twisted Metal Black 2 for PSP.
Yeah, it's apparently it's 5 to 7 levels of the Black sequel that was to be.
You do the kind of predictable slam dunk thing, and that allows you a certain amount of money and capital in order to do.
Are you belittling his choice of PS2 or his choice of Twisted Metal?
I'm not belittling. Both. I'm just saying.
I saw the look on your face. There was some.
It was belittled.
There was derisory.
No, it's fine. It is.
Jaffe is a really creative guy. I really, really enjoyed Calling All Cars, which I made no bones about here. I've enjoyed the God of War series. Revisiting Twisted Metal Black would be like something that I think that he could hand off to someone he's been grooming, and they can handle it, and he could do something
right.
cool.
But he's been very much a guiding force behind when Twisted Metal was good, and then he was the guy that brought Twisted Metal back from shit. So he obviously, I mean, like, you got to think, you started your own studio. One of the things you want to do is, I want something that's fucking me, right?
Well, it's like you hear the news and you hear, like, it'd be like if Seeds, the old Clover guys, if they came back and they're like, yeah, the first game we're doing, it's Beautiful Joe 2.5, and it's going to be awesome, and it's going to be, it's going to have extra levels from the new version. It's like, it isn't exciting on that level, but like I'm saying, like, as long as this is like, okay, we're finding our feet, we're getting our people, this is the thing we're doing, it's still going to be a good game. It's still going to be like, it's going to be a crowd pleaser, people are going to love it, are going to buy it, and then this allows them the freedom to do maybe, something on their own, and then they do one for, something else that they know people are going to like, another sequel or something else. Like, I have no problem with that formula. I hope that's where they're going.
The other part of this story that Patrick brought out is that this is basically the end of the road for NCOG, the Warhawk team. They've been dissolved, I guess, officially.
I think that's really sad.
Yeah, it is.
We will never get next-gen Downhill Domination or the Monsters.
I was thinking about that. I really got into mountain biking recently, and I remember Downhill Domination was actually pretty good.
So good.
Come on. Like, if you
forget the road rash hitting, but the dynamic of...
I was sitting here punching with my arm.
If you have to say, though, actually pretty good. Like, they probably shouldn't be making more games of that series. Like, you know what? It's not that bad.
War of the Monsters, massively multiplayer. Anything with that license is great.
Right. That's actually good. That's a pretty cool idea. But
well, if you want to have some
bitching
hope,
about no Monsters Online earlier, Monster Hunter Freedom.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to have some hope, apparently whatever part of the team didn't go with Jaffe is being rolled into Santa Monica Studios, which has been doing some great stuff, including Everyday Shooter, which we enjoy. Every time I turn on my PS3, I see that Santa Monica Studios, so that's not a bad thing.
Right. So I mean, if those guys live on through those other studios and games, like,
I always think it's sad when studios lose their identity, though. I remember when EA went through this period of like sucking everything in and just rebranding it EA something. It was like some of the magic goes away when they do that. Like when they absorbed Origin in, and like all the guys that were on the Wing Commander and whatever the Westwood, all that stuff. These brands that we have this sort of romantic, sort of creative attachment to.
If it was just going to Sony Santa Monica, I would agree. But like, because I would expect and hope, because it's in the area, a lot of it's going to the Jaffe Studio. I think that Jaffe Studio has the potential to become,
and they are signing on
that
to Sony
magical name. You know what I mean?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of what's going to happen with Santa Monica, I guess, will also hinge on how well Warhawk does. And we started this conversation already, so let's really dig into it here. What's going to happen with Warhawk? Because two products, if one of them's $60 and has a Bluetooth headset,
right?
What does the downloadable content version have to be priced at to work?
Yeah,
I think what this really is primarily because of there's a complicated relationship with retail. It is primarily a packaged box copy of that has something in it for $60,
right?
And that I think we need to be looking at the downloadable thing as just an alternative way of getting it. I think the pricing is going to cause a lot of arguments, though. Yeah. And also, the headset thing has caused a lot of debate.
What do you mean going to? It already caused a lot of arguments.
Yeah, I mean, the headset itself is. I mean, people are saying it's a $40 value. I think if the list price of it, I was poking around on Amazon, and if you look at the Warhawk entry, and it has the headset is this Jabra headset,
right.
BT something or other.
Not really rated all that well.
It got a 3 out of 5 user rating on Amazon.com, and you can, even though it lists for $50, you can get it on Amazon for $21.
Okay.
Which gives you an indication of what the breakdown might be on this $60 price point.
So if it's $60, so $40.
I'm thinking 40. And I think a lot of people, that's a lot of money for a download game.
Because $30 to me seems like the sweet spot. I mean, I think to a lot of people seems like, wow, but
how many people actually expect they're going to walk in, or not walk in? How many people expect to log into PSN and see this for $30?
Well, I don't know, but I would still buy it for $40 because I do already have a headset. I mean, I can't be alone either.
Like, I think there is a lot of stuff that people haven't really been talking about much in the message board when they're debating this, where it really is. Sony can't be seen to be saying, "Fuck you, retail. We're going to be our own distribution platform now. We don't need you," because they really do.
I mean, there does.
Because especially now, right?
If Sony fucks retail on software, retail will fuck Sony on hardware, where the margin is like non-existent.
I mean, this is the untapped territory. Like this is the Wild West, and like hats off to Sony for doing this. Like this is amazing that you will get, because Warhawk is, I feel like, a full retail game release, and like to be able to download that, and it's not just that, it's the other stuff coming up.
Quick straw poll though, you guys, like you go home, turn your PS3, Warhawk's available. Are you going to download it there and then, or are you going to wait and go buy the box copy? Nick?
Yeah, I mean, I like having something tangible. I also like having something I can trade in if I get sick of it. So yeah, I like the idea of
you get the box?
Buying it.
And I think I'll download it.
But at what cost does that change your mind? If it's $30 downloadable, $60 on the store, say.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't have a PS3, but I also don't have a headset. So yeah, so I don't know. Yeah,
you are the perfect consumer.
If you're saying that's a crappy headset, then yeah, I'd probably download it and go buy like a.
I don't know if it's crappy, but I think a lot of problem with the whole problem with a lot of Bluetooth. There are no really good Bluetooth headsets. I mean, the way they sit in your ear, the way they crackle, the way they lose connect. I mean, like. It's the same as with the wireless headset on the 360. I mean, Bluetooth headsets aren't awesome unless you drop $250 on a Jawbone.
That's really cool, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, and these things where it's not a mic, it's actually touching your skin and picking up
weird,
crazy.
Well, this is
shit.
This is an easy one for me. Shadowrun wasn't worth $60 as a 360 game to me. This is not worth $60 as a PS3 game to me. But I would have no qualms whatsoever about It's first of all, if you're going to play it, you're already connected to the internet, so they know everybody who's a potential customer for this game has the connection to buy it via the internet. So you've already got that built-in, 100% base right there. From there, it's a matter of making it the right price for the game. This is a $30 game. If it's a $30 game, it will be a brilliant success.
You're making it sound then like it all comes down to the headset if the entire consumer base is online already. So then it's like you'd pay for $40 even if it's 60.
Wait, how did I make it sound like it comes down to the headset? The game's worth $30. However you boil it down, whether you get it on a disc or whether you download it.
Because you're saying the audience is online already.
It has to be.
Right. No, I agree with you. So it's like if you already have a headset, you'd never buy it in retail. You definitely download it.
If I already had, regardless. I
mean, you don't want a second headset. I mean, that's kind of how I feel. Like, I agree with you, Nick. I want to have the physical thing. I'm very much like a put it up on the bookshelf kind of guy. But I do already have a headset. And do
you buy music off iTunes?
Yeah, I do. I don't like it though because I'd rather have the physical CD. Like I do it just out of convenience, and it's not as convenient. Like music, I do on much more of a whim than I do games because it's a lot cheaper. But I feel like you. I like having the physical thing, but because I already have the headset, unless there's some other reason to get the actual boxed copy. Even if it's $40, and God forbid, if it's $50, fuck it, I'm buying
I don't think
it.
there's any hope in hell that it's going to be. But I mean, they've not announced anything. They're not even dropping hints. I mean, it
could be
no
35, it could be 25, it could be anywhere in between.
It could be. I have my gut is it's going to be 40.
Well, PSN prices are apparently pretty flexible. I mean, look at Super Stardust HD, which started at $7.99 and then magically became $9.99.
Did it?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, some also go down quite a bit though.
Yes,
from
absolutely.
Like $10 to $3.
They're still very much feeling it right. So
that's a fuck up that they did that. That's bad. It's supposed to happen the other direction, not that way.
Hey, people like this. Charge more for it.
That's bad.
I mean, we're going to know the price very soon by the sounds of it. I think,
Dave Carricker did actually say that you should stay tuned to the PlayStation blog for an update on this.
Yeah.
However, I would be surprised if the price was announced much before the time that it hit at retail. Because if they do, if what you're saying is accurate, John, and it's a retailer relationship sort of situation, they're not going to do anything to blow those guys' opportunity to sell the game. So they're not going to announce that. They're going to hold on to it. They might hold on to it to the day it becomes available. Oh, look, it's there.
Because that will be telling of what the strategy really is, and that is that this is primarily a retail thing, and they're experimenting with an alternate distribution method, as opposed to this is a download game that we're also doing a retail. It's the bit where's the emphasis?
Yep.
And also, this isn't going to be an isolated thing. If it doesn't set a precedent for the industry, which we talked about earlier, that it might not. It is in some regard, and it's definitely setting a precedent for Sony because they've already said that there are other games coming down the pipe where they're going to be following this pattern, where there is going to be two ways to do it. So we talked about consistency earlier on, and Sony the precedent needs to set for itself is, this is how we do shit. The retail thing is $60 and the download thing is this.
How many times did we have this argument over 360 Live stuff a year ago?
With the prices bouncing around all over the place?
Remember?
Yeah.
But I also think that people's price tolerance, we get all fired up about price tolerance and where it is, and I think that people's actual price tolerance is much higher than we give them credit for.
I don't know about much higher, but it is higher than we give them credit for.
I always come back to Bejeweled is $20.
God damn it, is it really?
Yes.
And people buy the shit out of that.
If you want to go to popcap.com and download the on your hard drive version of Bejeweled, it is $20. And millions of people have bought it.
I know, right? The look on Mark's face is very telling.
My head.
It's also interesting the precedent it'll set for not just the downloadable versus retail, but just for Sony's downloadable games like Wipeout is only on the network.
Yeah.
So that's really affected then, I think, by how Warhawk is priced, because that's
how much are games on Steam? How much is Half-Life 2 on Steam?
Yeah, I wish you hadn't asked me that because I can't tell you the answer right off the tip of my tongue. But the pricing,
as a general rule, where a game, what is a full game on Steam?
Absolutely retail price. It has been set at retail price at release. It has come down after that, but at release they have never undercut their retail partners.
So there's kind of their precedent as well. I mean, like, it's not like Sony are the first to do it. They're the first to do it on console, like a full executable. This isn't like Shivering Isles,
right? And
everyone going, "Oh, $30," and then a lot of people buying it. This is like first time on console. But on PC, it's been happening for a long time, and people are dropping $30, $40, $50 on games on Steam.
Well, and I think you're absolutely right that there's retail pressure in the regards to Steam with the publishers that Steam wanted to get as partners to be able to digitally distribute their games, telling them, look, we'll do this with you, but we cannot forsake our retail partners because we have to have that connection as well. We did a survey, and it's completely unscientific, so take it for what it's worth. But at the end of the day, on Thursday, right before we came on here and pulled these numbers, we had asked, what's the absolute most you would pay for Warhawk over the PlayStation Network? 80% of people were 30 or 20.
How many people on the poll when you pulled that? Because it was a lot of people voted.
4,400 people.
Okay.
So out of 4,400 people, we had 80% selecting 30 or 20. Actually, if you want to know the exact breakdown, it was 46% people saying 30 and 34 saying 20. So interestingly enough, more people saying 30 than 20. So everybody wasn't people weren't just bullshit lowballing.
We said, what's the most you would pay?
Yeah, I was going to ask, what's the exact phrasing of the question? Because that always matters. Is it the maximum amount you would pay?
What's the most you would pay?
Okay. But everybody reads into that, what would you want to pay? And no one is bullshit. Not everyone was bullshit lowballing. Everyone wasn't just clicking 20.
But also, there's been a lot of attention, particularly in the last month, of people that have either been on the beta or have been on these sort of, these late running review runs where people have been going out there and saying, we've been playing a lot of Warhawk and we really like it. And I think this is a game where if you were to track interest in it over its life, it was sort of, and then suddenly
spike, right? No, I agree with you 100%. Pricing has definitely been a big concern on the hardware front as well, and it's like the worst kept secret that these 360 is getting some sort of price drop. So if we believe...
price drops.
Drops.
Inconsistencies galore.
Inconsistency galore. Microsoft confirming absolutely nothing. However, from the scans of a certain Circuit City ad, it does indeed look like we're getting $50 off the premium SKU, $30 off the Elite, and $20 off on the core SKU. What do you guys think? Does it matter? Is a good price drop?
Related to that, I've heard from some guys in retail that right now the best-selling SKU of 360 is Elite, to the point where they're allocating it. Whereas that retail can get their hands on premiums really easy. But people, again, this goes to people's perception of price sensitivity. I think there is an assumption. A lot of people will go to the most expensive thing if it's within the realms of what they can afford.
And once you decide to drop the bucks on it, right?
Well,
I'll buy the best one.
The audience that's there at this point is like that. But I mean, once that thing hits, once that price drop hits, I think you will see, and Halo 3 comes out, you're going to see a consumer that wants to play Halo 3, that wants to play it as cheap as they possibly can.
So
it's going to buy the Tard Pack in droves.
I think the Tard Pack should have dropped to $250 if it's going to drop to $280, because then it competes with the Wii.
Right.
In terms of someone walking in and seeing the same price point and seeing like anything and
damn,
the Halo 3 on the two
he's a
TVs.
smart intern.
I worked at EB for 2 years, so I also kind of know how it works as someone walking
in the
the
trenches.
store.
So in that regard, I am kind of surprised that the Halo-fied version of the 360 is a premium and not a core.
No, but
How
it's a different one though, because it has HDMI out on the Halo
but
version.
a crappy hard drive.
And it's
and
but it also comes with like a play and charge kit and
lovely
a
shade of
headset,
green.
but
It's ugly.
It is kind of ugly. I was very disappointed in that.
I hate I'm not crazy about the copper finish on it either.
Yeah.
Well, I'll say this: the other thing that's crazy about the not going to 250 is it would be very easy to say we're half the price of the PlayStation 3. PlayStation 3, $500. We can.
You know what? Though,
and the hard drive is $100, isn't it? To buy a separate hard drive, which you're going to have to do anyways.
We debate just to go back to the Halo 360. We debate like the color of it, the thing. It's not a wireless headset. It doesn't fucking matter. It's got Halo 3 in it. It says Halo 3
Just look
on the
at
fucking
all
box.
the people that have bought the crazy Halo Elite
The
pack.
legendary
pack.
That thing is gonna fucking sell like nobody's
Did you order
business.
It?
No,
Are you buying it?
Oh, the legendary,
Yeah.
The cat
Yeah.
helmet.
I'm buying the legendary thing. I'm not rebuying a 360 just to have the 360. Halo
Mark
thing.
fully buying the cat helmet
I'm not
version of Halo.
that fucking crazy, but people are gonna buy the shit out of that, and like props to Microsoft for. I mean, that's a smart move to taking like one of their biggest games and saying, like. The thing about Sony is it's not a first-party game. Like, what are they going to do? Have a Metal Gear PS3? Are they going to have a Final Fantasy PS3? Like, it'd be nice, but they can't really do it because it's kind of a third-party game.
A Halo Xbox One.
What?
Little known fact about Garnet Lee.
They're hard to find.
Where'd that come out at? In
What do you mean? You don't remember those?
no, did it come out in America?
Yeah, it came out in America. It was
Wait, wasn't that like
It's like a clear green one.
Did you buy a second one?
third one.
What is wrong with you?
He is the Xbox One installed base.
What is wrong with
There's
you?
a badass.
I had a bunch of friends at the time that we used to like get together and have LAN parties and play Halo 1 all the time. Dude, we would get together. We would get together enormous groups of and play LAN.
Wait, here's the test. Do you have four controllers to go with it? Because only one came with it, but you can get them.
I have more than
more than 4 Halo controllers. I'm asking. The Halo
Okay, I'm
talking about the Halo branded controller.
I only got one extra Halo.
You're not
hardcore
then. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Well, that's fine.
Dude, you're only sort of moderately rough core.
That's fine. Yeah, we played a ton of Halo. We played a lot of Halo. We had lots of switches, and when we played lots of
I
Halo.
went in Japan. There's a really nice original Xbox, a Panzer Dragoon one that's like white with a dragon.
That
on
is
it.
such a
That's
cool
awesome.
unit.
Milky has that one.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Nice.
All right then.
Next.
So,
I'd forgotten about that original Xbox. I might have to buy that off of you.
I would be glad. I have plenty. I have
With
original.
I'd be
like
happy to get rid of it.
It has like the Thompson drive or whatever, the ones that would crap out, doesn't it?
I don't know whether.
I mean, sorry to break your sale, Garnet.
It worked fine for me. I didn't ever have to worry about. I had actually of the 3 Xboxes I had, none of the drives were ever bad. I think I had one that had Thompson in it.
Okay.
And Halo is where we'll be wrapping up because as our former fourth chair used to be here, number 4 posted on the Bungie.net.
Yeah.
Not 2-player co-op.
No.
Not 3-player co-op.
Yeah.
Oh baby, we got 4
They
players.
so sandbagged that whole thing. Like, I don't know if we'll be able to get 2-player co-op in. It's very big levels and. Oh no! Wait, it's a 4-player co-op. Like, and then everybody fucking like jumps out of their pajamas.
Oh
shits
baby!
in them.
Oh baby!
Yeah. I mean, how awesome is that though? I mean, we had a big talk at lunch today about how are you going to play it through the first time? Are you going to play it through single player? Are you going to play it through 2-player co-op, or are you going to like wait and only 4-player co-op?
What do you think, Nick? You're you're one of the biggest Halo players on the floor.
Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic. It means I will play through the campaign
4
minimum
times.
of 4 or 5 times.
5 times.
Is everything in the EGM that just came out? That's
You can
off
talk about the
embargo
meta.
now. Can we talk about
that?
Okay.
You can just talk vague the meta game plus that
because now it's like metagame plus co-op
ridiculous
plus different
amounts.
difficulties. Yeah, it's like several times through the campaign.
Yeah. But I mean, the first time through, you got to play it solo, right?
I don't know. Maybe co-op legendary.
I don't know. It's interesting because
Just
if they're
2-player.
building it into first of all, they said they're building into the fiction, and the second part is really cool to me, which is that the 4 players are all distinct. You've got Master Chief on player 1. You've got the Arbiter on player 2.
Oh, say their names, guys.
Yeah,
I want to hear you say their names.
Negative.
What? Come on.
Dude, I actually did not write them down.
Get into the... Oh, it's like... There's apostrophes in there on both of them.
Players 3 and 4 are both... is that Sangheili?
What?
Sangheili?
You're looking at
that's
me?
that's the name in the fiction
that's the
for
race.
elites. Yeah.
Okay.
So they're elites. They're youthful elites who are part of the human sympathizers within the elites that have kind of come around to maybe not believing everything the Covenant's preaching to them.
Right. I mean, it's cool. They look distinct. They actually have a little bit of fiction for them. They look fucking badass.
Oh, wait a minute. It's more than a little cool. I think that if you're... I give them a huge tip of the hat to incorporating this that deeply into the fiction and making co-op not just a oh yeah, you can play through it with 2 Master Chiefs, but making it actually something that is built into the game. That's a lot.
I mean,
that's huge.
I kind of think they'll still probably disappear during cutscenes. I mean, I imagine, kind of how they, it would when you were playing co-op in Halo, But really, like, who cares? Like, the fact that they look unique and that they have names and are in the fiction, like, that is fucking cool.
That is really cool. And let's add some more speculation to this, which is that if player 3 and 4 are both these 2 elites, which are kind of add-ons, the big news here is that player 1 and player 2, because you got to figure they think most people play a 2-player co-op, are the Master Chief and the Arbiter, which plays into that whole thing we've been talking about, which is you'll be able to choose throughout the game, if you're playing by yourself, do I play Master Chief or do I play Arbiter?
Wait, if you're playing by yourself, why would you be able to choose that?
Because obviously both players are playable throughout. Because look,
but even
I
don't think so.
No, if you're playing by yourself, I don't think I'm pretty sure this is all public information. You are Master Chief, and like the people coming along with you, the Arbiter on some levels is alongside you. I don't think you can just be
you
the
can
Arbiter.
play the whole game as the Master Chief. They haven't said, is it possible if you can play as Arbiter or not? But I would imagine that the default, if you play by yourself, would be you are the Chief. Second player is the Arbiter. I don't know, but I assume that's how it would work.
But how is this working overall? Like, I mean, when they were saying originally why they might not be able to get 2-player co-op, it made a lot of sense. With these massive levels, it's like War Dog full of people.
Their lies were practiced, and
Have you met Luke Smith before?
But
he's really full of shit most of the time.
Right.
I mean, you listen
their
to him, it's like
deception was honed to a
just...
razor edge. They had practiced and practiced their eye movements and lies.
As impressive as Bungie pushes everything else, this is I have no clue without like dedicated servers how they're able to do this.
Well, what the only thing that like people have to remember is you have to go into a lobby and then start the game at the beginning of the level. It's not people aren't jumping in and out of that 3rd and 4th player. Like, just remember that.
Do you warp or not? Like in the other co-op Halos?
I'm sure you do because how else would it be possible to over Xbox Live for 4 people as big as those levels are that we've seen that you have to warp to checkpoints. I would assume they haven't said. I have to just assume.
Yeah, man, and it's just great because they're incorporating like save films into that as well in the
which
single player.
Is bad fucking ass.
Yeah.
I mean it's I mean you just have to like fucking smile and laugh and be happy you're alive.
2 months.
Yeah.
2 months, baby. You won't have to wait 2 months to hear from us again. We'll be back next week. Isn't that awesome? You don't ever have to wait. And we have 4-player co-op every week.
I won't be back next week. Why are you looking
4-player co-op every week. I think that's the new tagline.
4-player co-op every week. Don't miss interacting with that on boards.oneup.com. We will definitely get in on that thread. John, will you help us keep up on that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, that's our commitment right there. Tune in next week. We'll be back then. Until then, we're going.